Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. And the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Friday the 5th. Non-farms today. So are you all ready? Because this is like the day that matters, right? I don't know. Thing is, I'm seeing the market positioning, but this number didn't matter last time around. I don't know if it's going to matter this time, but let's go look at the charts and I'll show you what's going on. And I kind of tell you why I kind of feel that way. So come here. I'd like to show the volume profile. Let's look here. So we've developed a pretty good volume area around 34. Remember, yesterday it was rotation around the 3110. I really want to go and put something down in there just to remind myself, because that was like they rotated around it all day. So yeah, we kind of had the initial move up. This is the start. Had the initial move up and then down, back to break even, and then really down. But they never got to the they on either side. They didn't get to the volatility target. So it ends up being, in effect, an inside day. Surprise, surprise. But we got an non-farm private roll today, right? Well, but then they move up like it didn't matter. Anyways, so the Asian session doesn't seem to care. Why should we care? I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel. Treasuries continues its move lower. This time, 3 days in a row now. Big moves down. I'm kind of wonder how long that can last. Well, we got this right here. Let's put a little. Let's do a little drawing there. I want to. Make a note where that was. So we're not even close to that line, are we? Wait, did it just kill it? It did. Come back to the daily chart. Daily. We've got a long ways to go. We're not even, well, we're about at the lows since March, April time frame. So I don't know if we're going to get a mess like this, but this could just be, it could continue to be zigzaggy. I don't know. Who knows? It seems like that the Federal Reserve is chilling out. ATR. Yes. I should add ATR on this one. How come I don't have it? Let's add it. Bum, 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 ba-dum. 66. Oh, it's still very well, if we added the ADX, it would still be saying, hey, super trendy out there. Anyways, so we got numbers coming out here. Non-farm payrolls May expectation negative 8 million versus a previous reading of negative 20,537,000. And manufacturing payrolls for May, we're looking for a reading of negative 440K versus a previous reading of negative 133K. And then there's average weekly hours, 34.3 versus a previous reading of 34.2. We're looking for an unemployment rate estimate of 15%. Yeah, it's going to be 20. And everywhere I've been hearing it's 20. That one's a little, they're not. I don't think they're going to hit that one. Average hourly earnings, we're looking for a reading of 8.5% versus a previous reading of 7.9%. Now remember on this one that because people are working less, you get the people that are working are still making money. It's all of the low income people that got washed out. And so we can still have increases in average hourly earnings as people leave the market. And then as they come in, I guess we should see the average hourly earnings number go down. And then non-farm payrolls private for May, we're looking for 7,500,000 versus previous reading of 19,557,000. 19 million versus 557,000. Blah, blah. Okay, so these are all the numbers that we're looking at. Normally, I like to look at the average hourly earnings metric to kind of see, are we getting inflation? Are people, what's the impact of all of this monetary printing? But in this situation, it doesn't really matter because that number's all jacked up, right? There is a lot of stuff in the crosstabs and everything that you can look at on this one, though. So we do kind of got to keep an eye on Twitter, see what sorts of things people are noticing. Senate unanimously passed a bill to add more flexibility to the Paycheck Protection Program. These targeted changes will help businesses stay afloat and keep workers employed. Donald Trump retweeting David Perdue, thanking a bunch of people. We appreciate it, man. He's on the retweet storm. Retweeting Joni Ernst. Thorn bills. Our office has heard from many Georgians who are experiencing significant delays with passport applications. Blah, blah. Okay, nobody cares. Nobody cares, Donnie. Now he's tweeting about call upon the administration to prioritize the admission of persecuted Hong Kongers to the United States through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. So one thing I should note is that because of the United States passed the bill that sanctions 33 companies related to what do we say, the repression of Uyghurs, whatever. I mean, is there a way to pronounce that? I don't know what it is. I don't think I ever learned. China is almost certain to strike back. I don't think that it would be market moving, but I think that what you're going to see is they're going to say, oh, hey, here are all of the companies that have been oppressing Black Americans, and we're going to sanction them. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to say. And probably a lot of people, maybe if they do a really good job at it, people on the left will be like, yay. We'll see. That could come out. You might see a headline about that over the next 3 days or so. So just be cautious about that one because it might not really be as market impacting as it may first appear. You might see a little bit of movement, but I would probably just ignore it. Unless it's something super significant, like, they sanction Google, then that would be a problem. Ears are kind of Bill plugged. Yeah, the treasuries, they moved overnight. Remember when we were up here yesterday? Whee. It's definitely falling apart here. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, we got 32 in the E-mini. We got about 2 minutes to go. I guess to see measures of inflation, we gotta look at like the CPI and stuff, right? Well, they're pulling pretty good. And look at the 30-year only putting up 50 on there. 500s in the treasuries. It really is like I sit here and I'm like, okay, if this comes out and the unemployment rate ends up being, 20% instead of 15%, will the market go down? I don't think they care. I don't know if it matters. Does it matter? In the comments below? Does it matter? Oh, you know what? We need to have this out here, yes, sir. Auto, we're good. Okay. Back down to 32. It's getting pretty whippy there. 15 seconds. 5. Okay, there's a good little move there. Cool. I'm happy with that. It probably goes a little bit more. Oh, look at that. Hey. Like, I got some short-term absorption. Of course, there was more in it. Of course. Okay, so we got non-farm payrolls May actual 2,509K versus an expected negative 8 million. What the fuck? So the number was positive, and the unemployment rate is 13.7 versus an expected 15%. Okay, so I was thinking, hey, maybe everybody's been saying 20, but no, it's 13.7. Way better than expected. Those treasuries are just getting pummeled. My, oh my. Well, I really should have looked at what the number was a little bit more before I decided to try and take profits on something, huh? How much did I leave on the table there? 120. Oh, Jesus. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Really? Wow. So I was there from the 10. That was 16 ticks. Holy shiz. Wow. Talk about a move. Talk about man. So then what was all of the noise yesterday? I guess the market just not on track for what it was. Now this is going to go. Now they're out with a 137. Where can we even 29.5. I think that they even get below that. We are definitely, I mean, is it going to crater to... Oh, okay, so I see 22.5. Look at that. I'm not entirely sure that the economy is completely out of the woods yet, because I'm seeing some things in the coronavirus numbers that I see a little bit concerning. But I don't know. I'm kind of starting to think that what has happened is that we had numbers. I can't. I would like want to be taking advantage of this a little bit more, and I can't. I can't take that there. No way. The E-mini though could go to like 32 or something. Like, geez. Jeez. I think that what happened was when we were down at the lows and the government was putting stimulus and everything, I think that the things that we were seeing in numbers exaggerated the impact of the coronavirus. And so then we put too much stimulus into the economy, and now we're finding out that it's not as bad. This is not necessarily a good thing.
Sunday Driver says the market is not making sense. Crazy Fed money pouring in. Luis Alarid says in MES.
Because if that's what's going on, then that means that the Federal Reserve and the fiscal policy that has been injected needs to be taken back. Okay, and there's a little something there in the E-mini. Look, pretty good run right there, above 3150. Probably a stop run from the guys that originally went short there. Okay, it continues. My, oh my. See, you might have been able to take 24. See, when it's refreshing on the offer like that, man. Okay, so something just happened there at 22.5 that could reverse us for a little bit.
Luis Alarid says wait to rally bonds. Kevin Wimmer says lol, the enemy moved more points up than the Nasdaq. Nasdaq still not even close to daily high.
Okay, the treasury is pulling back significantly there. On it, when I saw that 4,000, I thought, they might back up too. Yeah. You know what, Seth? You got a 4. I think I might just sit back and be grateful. Now, what about the dollars? The dollar's not getting creamed on this. In fact, the dollar is moving up a little bit. We're still in the 96 range, though. Oh, that's interesting. Buy all the things, buy the dollars too. I tell you what, guys, I've not seen a chart like that.
Treasury _ trader says range target got hit.
A very, very long time. For a very, very, very long time. Are they back? I think they could be. Move them into a new range that's a little bit lower. And maybe we can get some movement that's a little bit more economically sensitive. Why would that happen? Why do I think that maybe in the future the treasuries will be more economically sensitive again? Because we got so much payrolls back? I don't know, guys. Employment rose sharply in leisure and hospitality, construction, education, and health services and retail trade. By contrast, unemployment in government continued to decline. So the reopening seems to be going well, ... says Ransquaw. Well, are bonds saying that initial move was too much? Oh, 5K at 29. What? An actual real move in treasuries. Like, think about this. We've been down 3 days in a row in the treasury, and they just moved like a whole point. That is insanity. That is really crazy. And look at how far away the E-mini is running. Well, 29.5 might be it. Nope. Well, that makes me nervous. E-mini is still pushing there. Whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the what? What the? You see that? Oh my gosh! Just 6 ticks down, just like that. Badoosh. Jeez. Oh man. Okay, well, you know what? That's all we need. Look, hey. 8 ticks.
Uzi
Hey,
Knesset says
fine.
MAZYZING.
That does not happen every day. I just can't even. Wow. Wow. Now I'm trying to sit back and anchor my expectations. When was the last time I saw something like this? I really can't even think. I don't think I ever have. Like a move that big that was super bullish. Not sure I've ever seen it. Certainly, we've seen a lot of sell-offs, things that I considered to be bear markets, things that I considered to be like mini recessions, because you really got to have something crazy to happen to have a real recession these days, you know. And when we came back, there was strong pushbacks, but this today is like really crazy. Now, how does this affect everybody's numbers? Because I don't think that the earnings per share for companies is really going to be all that great still. Dead Rand Squawk tweets, did Trump send the National Guard into the BLS ahead of this release? Incredible number. It really is. I do not think I've ever seen that's for sure. Let's go and double check this before I say dumb things, and you guys can prove me wrong, right? I don't think we've ever seen such a huge beat in the non-farms. I don't think we've ever seen such a huge beat. Okay, so the change.
Gary Rich says I guess you don't remember March and these massive moves.
Well, I remember the moves, but not up. That's what I was saying. Obviously, when it goes down, it goes crazy, right? Yeah, because the numbers are so extreme. There's like nothing even comparable. That was a blowout number. Nothing even comes close to comparing. That's all we got today. Okay. Donald Trump, I am so stunned. I have never seen numbers like this, and I've been doing it for 30 years, says Steve M. And Donald Trump is tweeting at Maria Parker Moromo. He's obviously very, very happy. I recall seeing a survey after the April non-farm payroll report suggesting that approximately 80% of the job losses were expected to be temporary. The May U.S. non-farm payroll report may have just validated that narrative. Oh, Thomas Sowell is on the prowl again. A higher percentage of Republicans than Democrats voted for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It was Republicans whose Philadelphia plan in the 1970s sought to break the construction union's racial barriers that kept blacks out of skilled trades. Cool. Don't think that anybody can be too convinced by that one. It'd be interesting to see how the analysts change their estimates, because we were saying 3,200 was like the target. So do they come out now and they get to say, oh yeah, we could totally move higher?
Gary Rich says I said it before, I hate to repeat this. Throw logic and rationality out the window. Stop being a blind squirrel and bumping into stuff.
Hey, I've been doing really well, Gary, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I think you're just cranky. The question is still, though, like, how do I go about estimating this? Sure. Here's daily ES. Here is, let's do it from the top of this range. Just to kind of spitball things, right?
Gary Rich says no, I'm a monster and don't care for feelings of the weak.
33.65. And the top is basically 3,400. Because one of the things that you got to think about is like, okay, so now that we have the number and we're kind of like caught up with what the real economy is, do they, like, how do things turn? How do things change from that? How much more upside can you actually get? And obviously we can't really control that. But I guess for us, it really matters more, how does this change the inflows? Well, I'm a little concerned about one of these things is like, people still might think that they need to save more. Like, there's definitely some of that going on. And especially if, like, retail traders have been long, for sure. They're going to get paid today. They're going to be emboldened. But are they actually going to put more money into the market? I don't know if we can make any prediction on that in terms of like how much more money retail traders can put to work. But yeah. There's still kind of this lurking thing going in the back of my head where it's like, yeah, but they could shut things down. Well, I don't know if they shut things down again, but I think there's going to be another wave. So, I saw this really good note from Morgan Stanley the other day where I think it was Morgan Stanley. Maybe it was JP Morgan. Anyways, and they were saying that um, when you kind of take off the measures, you allow the um, you open the economy up and you reduce social distancing measures, that you don't see an increase in cases right away. Like that you don't see the impact of that right away. That the transmissibility of the virus is like its own metric that you can look at that gradually changes. And so when you take that off, it takes time for the transmissibility of the virus to catch up. And so when everybody is saying that it'll be like 2 weeks later and then we can actually see the impacts of that change, it's actually really more like 4 weeks later that you can really actually see that change. And I think that that's what we're seeing because we opened things up at the beginning of May in Utah, and now we're seeing a spike in cases. So, excuse me. So you are going to see probably an increase in cases everywhere. But are states going to shut things back down again? New York probably had so many cases that they don't need to worry about it anymore. Maybe. Maybe that's wrong. But I don't really think that there's anywhere else that can really sit down and say they don't have a problem. But then at the same time, and maybe they will just say, it doesn't matter. We're not going to, because there's this whole argument that like basically what we did maximized the pain and didn't really save lives. And so maybe they're going to be much less prone to shut things down again. You know what I mean? That was good movement. Congratulations to Charles Payne on having been so optimistic and therefore correct the market up. No. Like these sorts of points are really hard because this would not be the first time that I've come out and I've seen a day where like non-farms or whatever it is comes out and it's really, really good. And then that ends up being the high. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, we've fully priced in the upside now, and now we kind of turn around and sell. I've definitely seen that before. I will be doing a conference at 10 a.m. on the jobs numbers at the White House. Cool. You should talk about George Floyd. I don't know. In election wise and for Donald Trump, he has talked about George Floyd and he has expressed support for it, but I don't think that people realize it. He needs to realize that they're going to really try and silence him on that and not really be fair. Focus on that, he says, we will bring in military to establish order if we have to. I think that you're doing the right thing there, but he never gave the order. Focus should be on, hey, you're going to have people are going to be there this weekend. As long as they're peaceful, like, hey, good for them. I don't think that the world is nearly as bad as they seem to think that it is. Obviously, there's problems, but it's not like they act like it's so bad, and I just not. The numbers just don't support that. Sorry, but let them go and get it out of their system, and that's good. It's a good thing. And Donald Trump could take advantage of that, and I don't think that he is.
Uzi Knesset says he needs to realize support isn't enough to satisfy legions of crybaby millennials. He actually doesn't have to do anything. What they want is therapy. Words. Talk to them like babies.
Maybe you're right.
Says then they'll be fine.
Maybe you're right. Maybe the problem is that he wants to come in and say, well, what happened was wrong and yada yada. But what he really needs to say is, this is such a difficult time for our country, and I know that we'll all get through this. And you're probably right, Uzi. I think you're right. And I think that I would never see it because I'm not like that. It used to be. Too much Adderall. Not Adderall, the Strattera. The Strattera does it. The Strattera is what does it. I just don't get that way anymore. Sometimes I'll feel it coming on, and then there's like something in my brain that's like right up here that's like, oh, yeah, but we don't have to be like overly focused on this, and it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. and then I move on.
Uzi Knesset says I'm absolutely right. It's like cops on the ground. They learned really quick. Just get on your knee. Quells the mob almost instantly. They want sophistry and symbolism. Something for their Instagram. Sunday Driver says really, aren't we setting ourselves up for a massive and breathtaking crash? I admit, I'm not getting the optimism.
Not necessarily.
Gary Rich says
Sunday.
when Utah is 32nd out of 50 in GDP the stats are skewed. Who's number one in ranking? Yeah baby.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? Maybe he was talking about how in Utah we're seeing a spike in coronavirus cases.
Luis Alarid says as fast as they build a hospital, build a mall, and let them destroy it, they will feel better.
Well, I think that looking at what is happening here in Utah is one of the best indications that you're going to get as to how the coronavirus is going to go elsewhere. Because we opened up first. Well, not first, but we were among the first to open up. Okay. So us and Texas and Florida. So you're seeing in Texas and Florida, it's really hot. So it's already been hot. Okay. But in Utah, it hasn't gotten, it's only just now getting like hot enough. Okay. So when you go back to the Northwest, and I guess it's really just the Northeast. I guess it's really just the Northeast that we have to worry about, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Guys. I'm just telling you that the coronavirus is still out there, that the immunity is very
Sunday
low.
Driver says Georgia was early too. I haven't been watching Corona Chan with all the riots going on.
There is definitely going to be a spike in cases. Most states haven't seen the height of it. But on the other hand, the majority of the deaths came from nursing homes. So as long as the rest of the states don't do something boneheaded like New York did, maybe you won't see that many deaths. I would not leave it outside of the realm of possibility, though, that it could happen.
Uzi Knesset says it's not going to matter. Mathematically, Corona is a fart in the wind.
If they close states down again, it's not a fart in the wind. But so here's it.
Gary Rich says Utah is insignificant as percent of GDP to USA. It's an outlier unlike CA.
Who cares?
NYTX. We matter more in spikes or reinfection rates.
Who cares? The percentage of GDP that Utah has doesn't fucking matter, dude. Who cares? You're going to see spikes everywhere. We're only just using Utah as an example in the numbers to show that after we've opened things up, we're getting another spike. And the spike is just happening later than was anticipated because people didn't factor in the amount of time that it takes for the transmissibility to come back up.
Gary Rich says it's a bad example.
You're full of shit, Gary. Yeah. You're focused on completely the wrong thing. I'm sorry. You're cranky. You sound like you lost money, dude. And I don't understand. You sound cranky today. the point is that all of the states are going to see this. So, California. California would be one of the first place, would be the place that I would be most concerned about, right? Because not only is California getting like totally, totally, just man, I've seen so many crazy videos from California with the rioting and stuff like that. So those communities are going to be hit from that. Okay, that's maybe not necessarily a big deal, but then if you get a spike in coronavirus cases, and then what is the tendency of the people in California going to be? Do you think that at that point that the people of California are going to be like, well, we don't care anymore? I don't think that they will. I think that they might at the very least kind of tell people to social distance again. At the very least, maybe not shut businesses down again, because even the people in California have to sit back and be like, well, people have to make money. I don't know, but that would be one of the places where I would be concerned, right? And they haven't really reduced restrictions in a lot of instances, are they? Right. So just the whole point is that there is still the potential for a lot of coronavirus cases. I don't think that coronavirus in and of itself really has to hurt the economy all that much. It's just if they shut things down, or, there's problems, that's all. I'm not so sure though that to the money flow right now that matters. I'm not sure what to think about where the money is going to go. We're going to need to pay attention, really close attention today, to which sectors move up and which sectors don't move as much. I'm sure everything is going to move, but which way does the money move here? And the analysts' expectations. I just want to keep tabs on, not that they're right, but one of the arguments that has kind of been keeping the smart money from participating has been that we're too high on an earnings per share basis, for instance. And yeah.
Uzi Knesset says pump a little extra money into healthcare system and let people just get sick. We'll be fine. Sunday Driver says overloaded hospitals will result when we basically ignore the next move by Corona Chan. Uzi Knesset says psychological impact is different when we track sickness and death numbers in real time. Stop doing that. Just deal with COVID like anything else.
Yeah, well, but you're going back to the original thing, right? The original thing was that we didn't need to shut the economy down, right? Wow, John. So I have one guy that's been telling me, like, one of the things that I'll do is I just put brackets around critical areas and then just go with the momentum after the move happens. And I've actually done that before and gotten screwed before. But he's saying, he was like, "Oh, look, we did it today and it worked out great." And I want to see how well he did.
Uzi Knesset says we absolutely didn't. No one did. The entire approach was based on a flawed and incomplete model put together by Neil Ferguson.
I think you're right. I think that the model that said that caused everybody to shut things down appears flawed to me. Okay, so now what I'm seeing is a bunch of people don't believe the number. Stock cats. The BLS outsourced
CH
economic
Trading
data
says good
reporting to
morning.
China.
Just got in. Do you guys trade the news?
Totally. I traded a little bit of that. I'm kind of like, hey, we just put a great end note on a great week. Let's just.
Uzi Knesset says look at China. All eyes on Wuhan. Miracle hospitals, cases, blah blah. China is huge. 1.5 billion other people no one talked about.
Right, but my understanding was that in China it never. I take that back. The Chinese government claims that it didn't really go anywhere
Gary
else,
Rich
but
says
then
thank
people
you
were
at
saying that
UCI
it
finally
did.
a rational person on the COVID BS from that idiot of Imperial College.
I agree with you that based on the data that I've seen, that shutting down in the United States wasn't necessary. That it was a combination of other factors in Italy that really caused that place to go
Uzi
to
Knesset says because the
disaster.
rest of China dealt with COVID like anything else. They kept the world's eyes on Wuhan on purpose.
Maybe. I think the key thing is you got to keep it out of the nursing homes. That's what causes the tornage, right? Because absolutely a lot of people died in New York. People were saying that it's just going to be a mild flu. It was not a mild flu, guys. 200,000 people, something like that. I mean, considering that the majority of the country still hasn't been hit and that we don't have immunity to it, it's going to be in the many hundreds of thousands. Like we're at around 100, 200,000 right now, and it's probably going to be much more than that. Because only one population center really got hit.
Gary Rich says I said for weeks that the original numbers were off by a factor of 10.
I don't know about that one, Gary. Because Fauci said 1 to 200,000 if we do all the right things. And it does look like in the end that in the United States it's going to be hundreds of thousands. So it's not off by a factor. It's not off by orders of magnitude. They were actually not that bad. Anthony Cordell is seeing the Dow up 600 and Russell 2K up 50, while the NASDAQ is relatively flat, is not a divergence I've seen in the past to be bearish for the market. Lay off buying the leader and NQ and dollars comes into the indexes that were
Gary
weaker
Rich
is
says he
typically
said
bullish
originally
rotation.
150 mil cases and 2.2 million deaths. People forget his original numbers.
No, he said, well, I don't know. I'm going off of the ones where when they were shutting things down, he said if we don't do anything, it could be 2.2 million, and if we do things right, it could be a few 100,000.
Luis Alarid says thousands of infected COVID people were placed among the elderly. New York and other states pumped up death rate.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that. It was that they put the infected people back in the nursing homes, which was so dumb. Man, this thing is not slowing down. And we are not even to the open. How far can this go?
Uzi Knesset says COVID death certificates were also fiscally incentivized with the CARES Act.
Well, that there is probably some truth to that. But the point remains that the majority of the country hasn't caught it. Probably we have not seen the
Luis
majority of the
Alarid
deaths.
says still in MYMMES.
We probably have not seen the majority of the deaths. I'm 100% confident
RJ
about that.
Wheel says it's about controlling people from staying away from confined spaces for long lengths of time. Nursing homes, cruise ships, jails, churches.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the rate of transmissibility during the summer, that's for sure.
RJ Wheel says Utah has a huge spike.
Is it a huge spike? I mean, the thing that in Utah is that we're only just getting to the numbers where like it picks up. Like this, you know what I mean?
Ewo Severin says sell the euphoria.
Ugh.
Gary Rich says what happened last month with the jobs numbers. It ran hard like today.
Did it? I don't 100% remember that. Let us look.
Uzi
Which day
Knesset
was
says
that?
the most perfect examples of just letting COVID do its thing were those cruise ships. People trapped in a
Sure.
confined space, and even those numbers weren't bad.
They weren't the end of the world, no. You're right.
Iwo Severin says 3,200 sell and feed the ducks grin. JB says and the open could take it away.
Man, you guys are so... Okay. So,
RJ Wheel says only after confined to quarters.
it was May 8th. Yeah, actually might be, well, it's not nearly as big of a move as today is, but it was a pretty good up move that day. And then the next day, on the Monday, they kind of peaked and we turned down for a few days.
Luis Alarid says these small $40 contracts MES do move well.
Right. Yeah, so my issue right now is like I don't
Gary
really
Rich
know
says
where
the
I
move in
want it to
percentage
go.
terms, not points.
Yeah, I can't see it in percentage terms. I'm just looking at the range of the candle is like, you know, it was a good move that day. It was from 83 or so to 29.32, 83 to 30. So it was about a 50-point move. And today started at about 31.10. And well in the overnight, and we're at 72. We're already 60 points. So the issue I have with the one like this is that I don't have a enough information to really stick a good target on it, you know, like a spot where I really think it should go. I don't. We could come over here and look at the order flow and see if it gives us a spot, but it's not doing so at the moment. And when you get in a situation like that where there's absorption, that, you know, on a move like that, they'll just go through it. What makes you let me take it from a different direction. Today could be a trend day. What makes you think that it won't be? For those of you saying that they could just sell this when the regular session opens.
Iwo Severin says speculation.
Oh, they're back to 137. See, like, and here, this is another thing is that I have found that like you will get this initial move, and then you might get a pullback, and then there's all sorts of random nonsense. And what'll often happen to me is I will skip the initial move and then try and play the random nonsense and just kind of get nowhere with it. That's why to me it was like, okay, I saw two spots, good spots, made more than what I would be going for in a day. I'm probably better off sitting back unless I see something else that really is market moving, like a spot where I really think that they should go to, you know? 3,200. I mean, when you get trends like this, there's nowhere for me to see, hey, they can't go any further. You know, that just doesn't tend to happen. So mm-mm. But it is the whole thing is still, when you get a number like that, is this momentum going to continue next week, or is it going to turn now? That's the question, right?
Treasury_trader says what I find very interesting in the last couple of weeks is that almost everybody was screaming, pull back in the S and then second leg down, didn't happen.
Right. Well, I think that the thing is that everybody was like,
Treasury_trader says then everybody was screaming gold is going to run $2,000, it's still around 1700 and not looking very strong anymore. Now everybody is screaming Bitcoin will run 20k.
oh, you think so? Yeah, gold got hit pretty hard in that one. They're back to 16. What about Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin's still not really doing anything interesting. Bitcoin 20k is highly unlikely. If they got to 15k,
Treasury_trader says I guess
crazy.
I know what will happen in Bitcoin. If everybody is long, who is going to buy next?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if everybody is long though. That's the thing.
Luis Alarid says gold falling and can't get back up.
Everybody that's interested in Bitcoin is long.
Treasury_trader says all of Twitter is long. Everybody I know.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there's not new participants that could come into the market. That's where you got to be cautious about that one, right? Well, that's where you got to be cautious about anything. That's why. What is it? Which one is it? I think it's come in here.
Bot says sounds like you need to find some new people to listen to at Treasury_trader.
Ferengi Rules of Acquisition number 194. No, come on. Is it too bright? It's too bright. Well, I'll just read it to you. It's always good business to know about new customers before they walk in your door. Right? If we look at the market and we only consider the people that are currently in trades and the market makers that are always involved, then we get a distorted picture of what's going on. Because what's really going to matter is when new entrants come into the market.
Treasury_trader says check my channel, then you know how I trade, but yeah thanks, it still thaffed me a lot.
Cool. So in this market, that has been one of the things that that institutional traders did not consider, right? Institutional investors are concerned primarily about the valuation.
Someone is buying but someone is selling into that. Shorts are feeding this for sure, but some new people are buying this now and they get dropped. Gary Rich says at bots lol, why are you here? Lol.
So what they didn't consider was that retail investors have a ton of money and a ton of time, and they wanted to get involved in the markets because they have been chronically underinvested in markets for this whole generation is. And so all of that money came in. And that's what's moving us. That's what's been moving us. And then you add on top of it the Federal Reserve and all this sort of stuff. But the thing is the way that the Treasury is moving right now is saying, the Federal Reserve is turning off the faucet. They might keep the interest rates where they are, but they're not injecting liquidity into the market like they were. They're going to come in here today when they do their little announcement about how much treasuries they're going to buy in the next week, and it's going to be like hardly anything, right? So now the treasuries are free to move around wherever they want, and people are interested in them again. That's what it looks like is happening to me in the treasury market. So that particular flow is coming off. That's one thing that we should think about. They probably don't need it though. So now where we are from a valuation perspective starts to become a little bit more important, doesn't it? But the issue with that one is that are we still certain that where these stocks are at is too high from a valuation perspective? Because they were expecting a negative number on this, and it was not a negative number, right? There's something in there that is still severely underpriced by the market, or was underpriced by the market. Is now that we've had this move up, is it all correctly, or is there still an inefficiency somewhere that we're not the market's not seeing? Of course, I can't see it because that's not my area of expertise. So, and I think that one thing that Anthony Crudelli was pointing out, I think is important too, is that it's not that the NASDAQ not moving up doesn't matter. It's a rotation. The NASDAQ was correctly valued because it's mostly tech companies and weren't affected by all of this. Now we're finding that all companies were not as affected as we were originally led to believe. They did not really lay off as many people as people were saying. They were just taking the unemployment claims because they could, and they have jobs now, right? Are we fairly valued? I don't know. And it's kind of funny. I mean, the treasuries come back. Treasuries came back, but the E-mini's not stopping. And are they going to just come out on the open and they're just going to buy ETF out of this? I would not put it past the market for this to go 100 handles. That's a spot that we could maybe potentially see. Because they're not open yet. Surely they're going to come out and they're going to buy it on the regular session open, aren't they? 3,200 incoming? Yeah, it could happen. I would need to give myself a really, really amazing spot to buy this, though. Just keep giving us volatility. That's all I ask for. Well, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. I think I've got something wrong on here. 18.
Luis Alarid says I'm riding this bull TLL, I'm bumped off.
You bought in and you're just gonna stay in it. I mean, we really could have done that. I was more interested in trading the treasuries on it, but that was mostly just because when I saw it tick, it looked so clear to me. It was like, okay, they definitely thought that was good news, and it's not moving yet. I can just take it. And then they gave me 4, and I saw the absorption, and I got out. I really should have held that, and that would have been the best the best day I ever had, but I really should have come back down and looked at the number. It's still good. Still did good. It's one of those things where like the day was so amazing that you still yeah. Well, we got about 7 minutes to the open. Do that. It's funny reading all the lib comments on Trump tweets. Almost makes me want to sign up for Twitter to read more comments. Almost. There really is. What? I don't understand why they're. Anyways, let's see what. Some of these columns are not updating correctly on TweetDeck.
Gary Rich says here's another free one. Listen closely.
So Paul Krugman was suggesting that the number was modified. Justin Wolfers says this is a bad tweet. While you're right to point out that the underlying models and processes used to produce job numbers are less reliable during a pandemic, but these data weren't tampered with, and Paul knows that the economic debate doesn't need this garbage innuendo. Do better. Paul Krugman says, I agree that it's very, very unlikely. It's just that so many unthinkable things have happened lately that I don't feel confident in anything, but I agree that the BLS is a bastion of integrity. Okay, whatever. No single data point ever marks a trend. Never forget this, Brannigan Barrett. Well, I think that settles that one, right? It could continue. It could reverse here. It doesn't tell us. This non-forms payroll month was the first month that PPP money flowed into the system. Coincidentally, all those PPP paid jobs are now counted as employed. As soon as PPP money runs out, the jobs data will crash again, says GovTrader. Ah. Scott Adams says, Joe Biden wants to be the president of all Americans, not just the 50 million people like me who, says Biden, are not very good people. On the plus side, Biden will train police to only shoot me in the leg, and that feels like a step in the right direction if I could walk. This is a spread of the unemployment rate compared to the lowest estimate going back to the beginning of the Bloomberg survey of 1997. Nothing like this has ever happened before. I think the unemployment report must go down as the single most surprising economic number ever. It came in much better than even the most optimistic number. This is the actual employment rate compared with the highest and lowest estimates. Jack Welch says, unbelievable job numbers. These Chicago good guys will do anything. Can't debate, so change the numbers. Jack Welch is saying that the number is manipulated. Everybody thinks, man, lots of people on Twitter think that the number is manipulated. Okay, so we've got the open here in about a minute, 2 minutes. And Donald Trump is going to be speaking at the top of the hour, which should be super fun. I hope that it's one of those ones where they ask questions. Oh, it could be like the Charlottesville press. That was the most entertaining press conference that he ever ran. Of course, everybody twisted his words, and it's like now an infamous evil one. But it's going to be fun, guys. Stick around. 8 o'clock, top of the hour. Hey, they're actually selling a little bit. This is actually pretty good turn back down. The difference between the number and expectations is huge. Too big, if you ask me. There's the open.
Gary Rich says at the end of the day, especially the last 30 to 15 minutes, you see a sharp sell-off. It's not fully priced for bullishness.
Well, you see a sharp sell-off. I don't know if 10 points back down is really a sharp sell-off, though, dude. Let's see. I think that, in fact, there's a really high chance that they go on and make a new high here at some point. They are above the open. Something like that right there. I say you buy the open right there. Let's see. Not confident enough to take that one. Let's see if it goes up to 73, then we'd say it's good. If it busts a new low like 68, then no. Okay, so 68 and 74 then, let's say. Alien Killer, well, they have to have the same number of employees, otherwise they get nailed and have to repay it all back. I do have to say one thing is that because jobs numbers can move so
Winston's
far.
mom says biggest non-farms beat ever. Trading Futures Livestream, the 5th of June 2031 watching now, started streaming 73 minutes ago. Please hit like. Hi, Kyo are still wonky.
Oh, you need a new mechanical keyboard? Get them silent red switches. Silent red switches is where it's at, folks. I tell you what. I wish that my keyboard wasn't so loud when I'm typing it, but for you guys, I need a different boom. Anyways, I have noticed that because you get jobs
Sunday
numbers and
Driver
things like
says, is this
that,
a classic
can move
retail
it
buying
so
into this and
far.
get screwed as the institutions sell into this strength and reposition?
I don't know. Sunday. There's no way. There's no way to know any of that. Here's the problem that I kind of have with some of the things that you guys are saying is that what you're trying to do is you're trying to identify a potential inefficiency in the market that we have literally no way of knowing exists. That we have no real probability of playing. And frankly, a lot of people have tried playing that and sold and gotten screwed on this whole leg up, you know? If the 10-year... Oh, wait, let me have that read that.
Gary Rich says if the 10 years hits 1.20%, watch out. Oil is pricing for 40, DXY soft, gold off. It's not exact need to analyze week to week.
But we're not even close to 1.2, right? I think that they were saying that we were like 0.33 or something.
Sunday Driver says I totally missed this leg up. I sold at the top a couple months ago. I think I am trying to justify why the market is wrong and I am right. Lol. Gary Rich says 0.91 yield on the 10 years.
Oh, what? TVC doesn't give me a percentage number? It says 97.05. What the hell? Heck? Oh, picked the wrong one. Okay. Well, I have money sitting in a
Treasury
brokerage account that I haven't
_trader
put
says,
money
did
in.
you have a positive on today?
I haven't. Hold on. I hate it when it does that. 0.924. You're right. Okay. But where would we have to? Now I have to go and do some. You guys want to do the math? Let's do the math. Let's do the math. It'll be fun. I haven't done this before, so I might say stupid stuff. Okay. We're gonna do the math. Try and find out what would be the equivalent price in the 10-year treasury for 1.2% yields. Conversion factors is, I think, what we want. No, maybe that's not it. Oh, that's right. That's right. I have to do it in Chrome. Of course, the CME is a part of the government Illuminati and won't allow us to use safe web browsers like Brave. It will be interesting to see if the market can hold the gains because this may be by the rumors sell the news type day. Probably, it seems like that a lot of people, maybe even people overnight, were buying up into the news, but I think that it was largely unexpected. Oh, and we did touch 74, so I think we have to say that buy was correct. Okay. Yes. Okay. So 10-year. Should we use the cheapest to deliver or on the run? The DVO1 is very different, but I think that we should be using this one. 84.56, right? So so hold on a second.
Douglas Welp says, why are you using a DOM?
Why would I not use a DOM? I think you're missing out if you don't, my friend. Chart Trader sucks. Okay, it doesn't suck. It's actually quite good. 1.2 minus, what was it? 0.924. Okay, so we're talking about a 27 basis point move, right? I need Notepad over here. When it does that.
Douglas Welp says ATM with non-trader is more modern?
Nah. The issue with it is like your ability to click the price and see, like try and catch the edge. It's really hard. It's just not as effective with the NinjaTrader. I mean, you can add a level 2 indicator to your chart and everything, and you can kind of do a couple of little changes so that you can get it as a one click, but it's still just not as flexible as having a grid and knowing I click here, it's going to put the order in. DOM is still the most effective way to enter in orders, aside from just having a robot do it for you. Okay, so that was 27.6 basis points is what we're looking for, right? Okay, now the futures price 136.305. And then I think I divide it by the no, that's not how it works. Okay. Now I need to go find the formula. Calculate futures price from DVO1 yield. Blah, blah, blah. That's not what we want. It's this one right here. We could use the conversion factor and all that, but that's where we get. Oh, that's by delivering from the factor. Yield change in basis points times the DVO1 equals the price change. That's what I thought. The numbers that they're using are like 0.1013, but right now it's 83, right? See, I thought that it would be 84.56 times 27.6 is 2,333. So we're saying that in order for it to move down, In order for it to hit the price that you're talking about, Gary, we would need to get to like 134. Right? That's what I think the calculation is. So it's $2,333 change for us to get 26 basis points. To move 26 basis points, which is what you're looking for.
Gary Rich says bingo winner winner.
Yeah. Then we have to move down 2,333. So basically we have to move down what is the closest for that, and anyways, we have to move down two handles and a third. Let's see here, 16 would be half of it, so we could say 12. So we'd have to move down 2 points and 12. So like at 134 and 24. 134.24. Okay. Well, wait, where is that on a chart over here? Daily ZN. 134.24 would be about at the, well, it's a little bit higher.
Gary Rich says that's the March lows.
The March lows. Oh, hey, that's funny. You had already done all of that analysis, had you?
Gary
Yes,
Rich
sir.
says yes, sir.
Okay. Do you think that that's where it's going to go to? Well,
Luis Alarid says Black Lives Matter sues Trump administration over use of force on D.C. protesters.
I saw that yesterday. I don't know if that I don't know enough about the law to know anything about how that will go. But I'm super cynical about it. Probably it gets thrown out. Could be wrong. And I don't even know if they can hold the Trump administration responsible for it either. That's another big thing. It could end up being one of them big conspiracy theory focuses, though. You know what I mean? So they had a pretty good run there, but so now we're to a 70-point move. Robinhood traders are wrong. Long hedge funds are wrong. This better end in 5 syllables. So would that be a real haiku? No. How far do you think they can go today? 3,200 would be like crazy, right? Yoda took a picture of his screen to show us. Oh, that's interesting way that he does it. The way he has his DOM set up is kind of interesting. Well, anyways. Let's go back to Twitter. Now that we've done that. Positive U.S. jobs report shocks expert, says Live Squawk. Okay, the household survey response rate was about 15% points lower than in the months prior to the pandemic. So some analysts suspect that this may be a reason for the surprise data. Unemployment rose sharply in leisure and hospitality, construction, education, and health. On the flip side, employment in government continued to decline.
Bots says VIX range targets for S plus 50% 3197.82, plus 100% 3221.65, minus 50% 3150.18, minus 100% 3126.35.
I don't know. I feel like if there's any day where those numbers would not matter, it's today. Let's go look and see if there's anything in the volume profile for those numbers. 34 had a lot. We're looking for on the downside 50 and 26. 26 doesn't seem realistic. 50 is a pretty wide single print area, I guess. So that's possible. There's this whole 65 areas kind of looks like they would want to get to
Bots
as
says
well.
bull bear zone 3143.75 to 3145.75.
I don't know. The 50 area does look interesting. 97 on the upside, but I didn't have any volume anywhere even close to recently to try and make a judgment on that. No. There is a spot at 3211 that is going to offer significant resistance. Likely to offer significant resistance. Oh, Anthony Grudelli taking a loss for the week and will just be watching today. I like markets that rotate, and one way markets are not the best trades for me. Keep it light and tight this week and happy. End up with a small loss. Know yourself and know what environments suit you the best. Anthony, you just buy it. Come on. He's a fader. He's the mean reversion. He takes a mean reversion. That's why he likes those Bollinger Bands. Ketter defund the cops is stupid AF. Yeah, Hero was the thing I was hearing now was that in Minneapolis they want to not just defund the cops but abolish the cops and have a citizen enforcement system. Okay. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Sunday Driver says we're seeing the end of the Republic.
Listen, you guys all get too excited about shit.
RJ Wheel says that's a city I want to live in.
I really think that everybody gets too excited about this stuff. Listen, here's what's happening. All the virtue signaling liberals think that the world is falling apart and that they need to come and show their support for Black Lives Matter in order
Luis
for
Alvarez
civilization to continue.
And hire the homeless for the academy.
There you go. They think that in order for civilization to continue, that they have to get out and that's what they're going to do. There's gonna probably tons of people are going to be out in the streets this weekend. Like probably all the liberals. Honestly, they're all going to be out
Sunday
there.
Driver says with no police, it will be easy for people to settle scores. My god, no police. What are they thinking?
Now, hopefully, it's all peaceful. I'm going to guess that the majority of it will be. And then here in Utah, probably definitely will be. But, other places. Maybe there might be scattered rioting, but I'm hoping that it's not going to be bad. It's not going to be like buildings burning down and people dying. And, if people are dying, then we're kind of discontinuous. But hopefully it's just peaceful protests. They all feel like they did their duty to society, and then they can chill out. See, this is like a dead end road, right? Okay. So I saw this really great infographic the other day.
RJ Wheel says there's a documentary about this. It's called The Purge.
Okay. Anyways, but think about it. I saw this infographic that was like, here are 8 things that you can do that will reduce the number of people killed by police in the precincts that have tried it. So these are things that police in the United States have done that they have some correlation to reducing deaths while in police custody. Okay, and they were like really simple things too. They didn't seem to be things that were particularly burdensome on the police, and one of them was just that probably the most questionable one would be that there's like strict guidelines on what force you can use in what situations, and that the person would have to escalate to here before you can use a gun and that sort of thing. Okay. That's probably the one that would be the most controversial. And so there's those 8 things. So here's the thing. You go out, you march, your local police department implements those 8 policies, and then guess what? Cool. Problem solved? Because the problem here is that when you look at the statistics, the depth of the problem that they're talking about is really not that severe. So it's a dead end. You're going to go out, it's a political dead end, that is. You're going to go out, you get everybody excited, you march, and then what? What are you going to do now? Especially if the president comes out and signs. There's this lynching legislation. I'm sure that Ron Paul will stop being dumb and let that through, and then the president will sign that and he'll say, hey, look, I signed anti-lynching legislation. And he could probably come up with something else and probably get it through before the election. Right? It's not. What's going to happen? What do people think is going to happen? The people, the police officers, they're arrested. They're being charged. They're trying to charge them with murder too. I'm not sure that they'll get murder too, which would be a problem. But I would hope that the trial for that, well, not hope, but I would expect rather that the trial for that would take over a year to come. Normally a trial like that takes forever. And they're going to ask for a change of venue, and it's going to take forever, right? So that's not a thing. What's going to happen? It's a political dead end. Because there's no end game. Eventually, people are going to move on with their lives, and then they're going to be like, oh, well. Hey, remember back when this thing happened? Oh, yeah, what happened with that? Oh, yeah, well, we got bored of it, I guess.
Gary Rich says, did you see the donated money for his family? Yikes, I'm gonna go blackface and get shot by cops. Who wants in my will?
Wow. One thing I will say is that the family has acted pretty responsibly so far. Don't you think? Because in Ferguson, when they basically held a vigil and he basically said, go and riot. I was like, fuck you guys. This family seems to be more responsible. In fact, it seems to me like this particular individual, George, he really, this is the thing that's a little frustrating to me about it, is that George Floyd could have had a good life if he had made different decisions. There's nobody to blame but himself. He got involved with drugs, he got involved with crime, and he could have made different decisions, and he could have been a very successful individual, but he chose not to. And it looks to me like his family are not like total dunces, that he had the family support to be able to, be successful too. It was his choices. This doesn't mean that you deserve to die or anything like that, but I'm just frustrated that anytime that stuff happens like this, that everybody wants to do everything they can to avoid having to talk about personal responsibility. You know, the first cop is toast, the others are going to lose their jobs. Well, they already got fired, right? And they're going to get, there's going to be a civil case. They'll sue the cops. If the cops don't get prosecuted, they'll sue the cops, and they'll sue the city for using that method. So this turned down pretty good. They're going to come to that open now. What's going to happen? Wait, where's my... yes, okay. Cumulative delta. That delta does not look positive. Oh, yes, you want to get out because Donald Trump is about to speak. Let's see if we can get... Trump holds news conference on jobs numbers.
Don't overcomplicate.
Gary Rich says race baiting is an economic stimulus plan. Always has, always will. Uzi Knesset says he won't come out for 45 minutes.
They've been so effing late on these things lately. You're probably right.
RJ Wheel says too if the cops were on only their 4th day of work. Still trainees. They have a good case to deflect they were following orders.
So you know what? Something that really bothers me is what was this other case? Why do I forget the name of it? I have to look it up. The Arbery case. The Arbery case, in my opinion, is far more deserving of media attention. Here you have two hicks just stop a guy. They believe that he had been committing robberies around there, and they probably do have good reason to believe, and it may actually have been him. I think there's a really good chance that it was him. But they try and stop the guy on their own just because he's in the neighborhood and he looks like the suspect with guns, and then there's an altercation and they kill him. And then afterwards, according to an eyewitness now, is saying that after they shot him, they yelled a racial epithet at him. Okay, so the George Floyd case, no clear evidence of racial prejudice involved in the case. There was every reason for them to be subduing George Floyd. He was a danger to the public in the drugged out state that he was in. And it's just that they used a maneuver that they probably shouldn't have been using. But then even after using the maneuver, like after he passed out, they kept it on him, which is very reckless. And you can only assume is going to kill somebody. I don't know if the cop knew that or what, but how can you not? I don't know. Anyways, but no evidence that it was because he was black. Whereas in the Arbery case, you got these two hicks with Confederate flags calling him the N-word. Come on. That is like clear evidence of racial bias. And they've forgotten all about it. They have forgotten all about it. Can you believe? That it just is really weird.
Sunday Driver says the Arbery case was just fine until the Yahoos got out of their truck. I think Arbery was stealing or up to no good. They should have left it to the police.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a case where they, I don't think that there's a good defense. What usually ends up happening is the media will blow this thing up into huge proportions. And then you get down into the trial and it turns out to be not quite what the media told us it was. And that has happened so many times, like literally every time. This one is the Arbery case. Why didn't they riot over that? Well, because it didn't happen in Minneapolis. If it happened in Minneapolis, then they would have rioted over that. It didn't happen in an area where, it happened in a relatively conservative area, in a relatively rural area. So you didn't have a big city to go and riot over it, right? The Trayvon Martin case is a perfect example. Yeah, it's totally true. So, where were we talking? It's an economic stimulus? I don't know about that. It's a Democrat voter drive program is what it is. Like, honestly, why do they want people to get out and march? Why is it that you have to go out and march to say, oh, racism is not okay and we should do things to stop it? Because they register people to vote. That's where they get people into political activism. That's their primary recruitment mechanism.
RJ Wheel says guys like Sharpton and Crump whip it up.
Oh, Sharpton definitely. Sharpton lives on that shit. This is quite awful. That guy. I want to know though, how did Al Sharpton get skinny? That's what I want to know. How did Al Sharpton get skinny? He just went on a weight loss program. Hey, good for him then. He eats 2 very small meals a day and has cut out a lot of foods from his diet. Sometimes he looks like he needs to eat something. Did he?
RJ Wheel says stomach staple.
Oh wait, there's a Business Insider article about it. "15 years ago, his 12-year-old daughter punched him in the belly and asked him why he was so fat. And that was more than the minister could take. That was my inspiration to lose weight and probably the last time anyone hurt my feelings." So how does that happen? Is it some special diet, bariatric surgery, or even some sort of illness? Nope, he stopped eating and started exercising. But when we say he stopped eating, we mean it. His daily intake is nothing.
Gary Rich says Steve Wonder said never perform in FL due to Martin. Good, how would Stevie know he is blind?
What? Dude. Okay, so they came back to that open and they looked like, hey, we're gonna turn down, but they didn't do it. Look, they're gonna pump higher on lower cumulative delta again. How many times have we seen that one? This is like the same pattern. They break out and move higher on that one. Usually, I don't know what it's gonna do. It's all crazy. Is Donald Trump still not speaking? Yeah, I'm still not getting anything. Let's come over here. Oh, Donald Trump late for a news conference. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. You know what pisses me off is that if I go to YouTube and I search for White House, the White House channel is not the first result. That is dumb. Well,
Gary Rich says Pres Trump in that undisclosed bunker. It's a long walk.
maybe. Well, 97 is the first target. I don't know if they're going to get that. I don't know if our VIX range thing matters. Mm-hmm. Get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. Okay, back to Twitter. Trading floor audio. 10 minutes ago, U.S. President Trump to speak shortly. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Like, did they? I'm starting to wonder. Did they put this timeout and then they actually do plan on doing it at 10:30? Because they're never on time. Great news from Joe Biden. The basket of deplorable Americans is now down to 10 to 15%. Down from 25% in 2016. That's hilarious. Did you really say that? I'm going to have to go find the context of that now. Hold on. But you know what? I think I should take a break here while he is not talking. I'm going to go use the bathroom. Come back. All right. Okay, so down just a little tad. Just maybe a tick or two from where we were. Mm-hmm. Chicago riots have wiped out most grocery stores for minority residents. Oh boy. Okay, so we wanted to see what was it that he was saying about 15%. The words the president says matter, says Joe Biden. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us come out, and that's when Biden divvies up the American public for himself in a virtual town hall with Ryan Wilson and actor Dan Shell. 10 to 15% of people out there are just not very good people. Do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are not very good people, but that's just not who we are. The vast majority of people are decent, and we have to appeal to that and have to unite people,
RJ
bring them
Wheels
together,
says
and bring
police
them together.
unions are dropping support for Biden.
Yeah, maybe Joe Biden, the protesters in that 10 to 15, sorry, the protesters that are rioting rather, are the people that are rioting included in that 10 to 15% of not very good people? I need to know. This is silly. Oh, look at them go up high. Ooh, boom, boom, boom. Go, go, go. They're having fun. You know what? That one fizzled out a little bit early. They could still push it higher, but that one fizzled out a little early. Yes, and Al Sharpton announces a new march on Washington led by families of black people killed by police. Sure, that'll be fun in August. And then
CH Trading says what time frame is your chart?
The one down in the lower right corner of the screen is a
Gary
one
Rich
range
says
chart. So one range chart. So it's showing you literally every price movement. And then there's also some other series overlaid behind it. So you're seeing one range charts overlaid on top of 5-minute bars, on top of 1 minute moving averages. I know, right? It's a little. Don't worry about it. Dan Tapiero being retweeted by Patrick Rooney, our friend over at TT. I've never seen a breadth threat
Gary
spy
Rich
signal in
says
stocks
YM did
after
move
such
one
a
half
huge
of its
rally.
expected move.
June 3, 2020 signal was only the 8th buy signal in 30 years. As hard as this is to believe, get ready for an explosive up move in stocks. Large double-digit gains on average in the coming year. It's a new world. Okay. Just based on breadth? I don't think that breadth can tell you something like that. So he's looking here, and it's like the buy. He has these buys at some of these dip areas.
CH Trading says, do you have a video on your setup platform? I think if would be interested to learn it.
Well, I have a video called What is the Best Futures Trading Software Platform where I talk about what I use. Honestly though, like all of the indicators and stuff that I have on there, a lot of it is just for fun and doesn't matter. Like that one range chart right there. There is a trade that we were taking that we use that chart for. I'm not using it right now. The market is just too volatile for it. That chart is down there mostly because it's cool. It looks cool, doesn't it? and it gives you a perfect view of what the market is doing. Great, but you got to remember that my working theory right now is that any technical analysis indicator is not a reason to get in a trade. I think that you want to have something different. I think that you want to have some fundamentals um, based on what the inflows and
Gary
outflows to the
Rich
market
says
are.
breath advodec, new highs, lows, or some sentiment for stocks.
And all information's any information that you can find that will give you an indication of where money is moving to, right? And an idea of where this stock is going to, or the asset is going to go to, based on that. And that is the trade. And then we are using technical analysis to ensure that we get a good spot. And the majority of the technical analysis that I employ is actually based on volume and price action from the DOM and not from the charts. That's why you'll see me go and like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure it's a long, but I don't know if I get, and then I'll see something and I'll click on it. And it can seem like I changed my mind really quickly. Because the thing that that tells you that it's there can like just be like just like that. Well, this thing that this guy is looking though, that it's like a breath signal. This looks like your classic technical analysis, um, flawed analysis. Just because it's been a good buy signal in the past, the context here is different, and it doesn't mean that we have to have an unprecedented rally of whatever proportions. Probably we do have a rally. Can we make it to new all-time highs? I'm not sure, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to. Must say 3200 is going to be a tough spot.
Air Cages says hello. Is this the Millionaire Trader Club?
It is now, Eric Ages. No, I'm just kidding. I did okay, but not a millionaire. Maybe Gary is. Are you a millionaire, Gary? You gotta be. He's gotta be close. Come on. Just kidding. Well, I'm still not seeing him. I still see it. Standby for video. I'm just gonna put this down in here. I'll put it where you don't necessarily have to see it, but it's where I can keep an eye on it. I'm not really paying attention to the orders flowing through here. We're still above 137 in the treasury, so that's interesting. Oh, they came all the way up to 137.10. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So now I see a story that says that the police officers are not going to have a joint defense, that two of them are having a joint defense, and then the other two are not. And I don't think that that's going to work out for the two that are not, because they're basically going to try and say that we're just following orders, and they're not. It's not going to work. Oh, they're going to get screwed. The only thing is that the main guy might not get murdered too. I don't understand why they're going for murder too. Mhm.
Sunday Driver says Keith Ellison will likely overcharge the officers and they'll get off.
Well, he changed it to murder too.
RJ Wheel says they are probably trying to get the one that was standing to flip.
The one that was standing? I don't know.
Gary Rich says the 4 cops need to hire Jesse Smollett as their attorney. Oh, I'm so funny.
Well, they made a push up, it come down, it's back. It looks like just like a slow curve. Could turn back down, I don't know. Certainly if they get below the open, that always increases the possibility of downturn. Man, are they going to start? Captain Hindsight's always have the best paper alpha? Yeah, I bet. Steve Scalise. The so-called experts were wrong again. They said we'd lose 7.5 million jobs in May, but instead we gained 2.5 million, the single largest month increase in history. Never bet against American workers and real Donald Trump. The comeback is happening faster than you'd think. I must have missed Steve Scalise's forecast up before the data. These guys. Trump vows to campaign against Morawski after senators' criticism. I'm sure that the GOP would love to be rid of her. I don't think that the GOP would necessarily mind a Democrat in that seat if they were able to get a Republican beat them later. No joke. Will somebody inform the financial media that without PPP loan/grants, the U.S. would have lost 10 to 20 million more jobs last month? At a minimum, PPP-funded jobs should not count as jobs added to the private sector data, says GovTrader. Why not? Why not? Is Trump going to talk or is the live stream dead? I don't think that he's started. Looks to me like they haven't started. It's still just showing live stream starting soon. He's not long or short enough yet. Yeah. That must be it. That must be it, guys. You need to bring the SPX down a little bit so that he can start his press conference. So he can't start the press conference unless all of his buddies got a good price before he talks it up, right?
Gary Rich says this weekend outliers, trade phase, Brexit, Italy, Sweden, Merkel coalition.
I know what you're talking about on all of those things except for Merkel coalition. Mnuchin getting his calls on spy. Give him a minute. Yeah. Here's the White House one. He's along from yesterday when he got there. Probably, who knows? Like, this is the thing is like the market action yesterday wasn't particularly bullish. So like, was that one priced in? Wasn't particularly bullish action yesterday. Paul Krugman, never mind stocks. The bond market, a much better guide, is somewhat more optimistic after today's jobs report, but still far less than at the beginning of the year. Yeah. But I suspect that that is only because the Federal Reserve has stopped buying. What's going on with the stacking and pulling here today? Not a whole lot. I guess everybody's just using market orders today. No, 20 million private sector jobs were funded by the U.S. government last month, so the U.S. would have lost another 17 million jobs without PPP. And when PPP runs out, most of the jobs will not come back. That's not true. That's not true. They can come back. They will probably continue to have them. He has 3,200 calls that expire today. There you go. Oh, man. You know what's funny is it's only 8:30. I feel like we've been here forever, but it's only been 2 hours. I guess time flies when you're not in a position. Ah, look, I have a feed now. Okay.
Of the United States.
Boom, boom, boom.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very big day for our country. It's affirmation of all the work we've been doing, really for
Sunday Driver
3.5
says what's the next
years.
shoe to
This
drop in
isn't just over the
2020?
last few months. This is for 3.5 years. And it's,
I don't know if there's going to be one
believe that
Sunday.
We were very strong. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. And that strength let us get through this horrible pandemic, largely through. I think we're doing really well. Vaccines, by the way, I had a meeting yesterday on vaccines. We're doing incredibly well with that. I think you're going to have some very positive surprises. And therapeutics, likewise, we're
It
doing
looks like a
extremely
nice
well.
day in
Cures, we're
DC. You
doing
can hear the
well.
birds.
I think those two words really blend in with each
No
other.
protesters or
But
anything.
tremendous progress is being made on vaccines. In fact, we have ready to go in terms of transportation and logistics. We have over 2 million ready to go if it checks out for safety. And it's also, the nice part is we have 4 companies, I guess you could even say 7 or 8 companies that are doing some similar and some very different on the vaccine front, and some similar and some somewhat different on the therapeutic front. So tremendous progress is being made on that, and I think even without that, and I have to say, even without that, and I don't think you're going to be having to use that in the future, that statement, even without, because I think they're going to have it. But we're going to be back, and we're opening our country, and I hope that the lockdown governors, I don't know why they continue to lock down, because if you look at Georgia, if you look
Yellowstone
at Florida,
explodes.
if you look
That's,
at,
yeah.
South Carolina, if you look at so many different places that have opened up, I don't want to name all of them, but
If they can blame it on climate change, that could certainly
energetic
become a
about
thing in the
opening,
media.
they are doing tremendous business, and that this is what these numbers are all about. And you have to remember one other thing very importantly. I think it's extremely important for you to remember that many of our states are closed or almost closed. Some of the big ones, New York, New Jersey, they're starting now to get open, I hope. And I hope they also use our National Guard. Call me. We'll be ready for them so fast their heads will spin. We did it in Minnesota. In Minneapolis, we were incredible. They were ripping that place apart. I love it. We had such success there, and they were ripping it apart. And I called the governor, and the National Guard went in, and one night it was over. You don't see the problem in Minnesota now at all, not even a little bit. You take a look at a great city, great city, Minneapolis.
These are not prepared remarks.
It was under siege, like nobody.
He was saying that the protesters were ripping it apart, but the way that he said it made it sound like that the National Guard ripped it apart and that he was happy about that. That's what the media is going to come out and say.
I'm blaming the mayor, but
Guarantee.
We want to get all of this finished. This is a great tribute. What we're announcing today is a tremendous tribute to equality.
Watch. They'll even ask him a question about it. One of the reporters will ask him about it, and he'll clarify, and they'll still ignore it.
Prior to the China plague that floated in, we had numbers the best in history for African American, for Hispanic American, and for Asian American, and for everybody. Best for women, best for people without a diploma, young people without a diploma. I mean, so many different categories. Our numbers were the best in almost every category. We had the most people working in the history of our country, almost 160 million people. We were never even close to that. So we had things that we were doing so well, and then it came in, but we're going to be back there. I think we're going to actually be back higher next year than ever before. And the only thing that can stop us is bad policy. Frankly, left-wing, bad policy of raising taxes and Green New Deals and all of the things that you have been writing about long and hard. That will stop it like you wouldn't believe. And frankly, it's holding it back. If there were no possibility that can happen, and I like to be an optimistic person, I think we're looking very good. I think even before today, the polls that I've seen and the polls that we do were looking very good. But if we didn't have the possibility of having massively higher taxes like the Democrats want to do, and Green New Deals, which are totally ridiculous, frankly, ridiculous, and I'm a big environmentalist. I believe strongly in taking care of our environment. We have the cleanest air we've ever had.
Or Jay Will, that's not funny.
Which, let's say you go back 30 years, we have the cleanest air, the cleanest water we've ever had. We're setting all sorts of really good environmental records. We're very proud of that. But the Green
Being
New
a slave
Deal
does not count as employment.
Green New Deal would have a devastating effect on the world. And it's not going to happen anyway because it's impossible for them to do it. If you ever look at what they want to do under the Green New Deal, it's like baby talk. But we are doing something that this was an important day because this shows that what we've been doing is right. And the reason it's been and is so good is because the body was strong. Our body was so powerful that we could actually close our country, save millions of lives, stop people very early on from China from coming in. Because we stopped.
Is it okay? I laughed out loud at RJ's comment. No, Ace, don't admit that sort of thing.
China who were infected coming into our country. It was a very hard decision to make. Almost nobody wanted me to make it. I would almost say nobody wanted me to make it. But we made that indecision, and even my enemy said that was an extremely important. We saved tens of thousands of lives with that decision. So we did a lot of things, and then we really ended up with empty cupboards. We went into a ventilator period that the likes of which nobody's seen since the Second World War.
The ventilator period? What?
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And then we did tests. We're over 20 million, or very close, but I think we're over 20 million tests, more than anybody in the world.
And all these guys on the stand are like, what is he doing?
And South Korea's at 3.5. We're over
Look
20.
at her.
And by the way, when you do more testing, you have more cases. We have more
It
cases
never
than
gets
anybody.
old for me.
Than anybody. It's pretty simple. But this is outstanding what's happened today. Now, they thought the number would be a loss of 9 million jobs, and it was a gain of almost 3 million jobs. Nobody's ever seen anything. I think it was incredible in a couple
Living
of
the
ways.
dream.
Number one, the numbers.
Did you catch anything good today, Ace?
And this leads us on to
Did
a
you,
long
did you
period
trade
of
that
time.
NFP?
We'll go back to having the greatest economy anywhere in the world, nothing close. And I think
Or if you
gonna have a very
didn't,
good
well, what price did you catch?
upcoming few months. I think you're going to have a very good August, very good July.
Keep saying more tests than
but
anyone
a
in the world combined.
spectacular-
It did get
maybe
more
spectacular September, but a
based on
spectacular
several
October,
different metrics.
November,
It's
December,
more testing
and
than
next year is
this.
going to be one of the best years we've ever had economically. And if you look at the numbers, they bear it out. But we were strong. It's sort of like when you go in for an operation, if a person is healthy, we were healthy. We had the greatest economy in the world. We went in for an operation. We closed our country down. We closed it down. We saved possibly 2 million, 2.5 million lives. Now, it could have been 1 million lives. I don't think anything less than that. But if you think we're at 105 million today, the 105,000 today, that would mean at the lowest number, it would be 10 times that amount. And I think everybody believes the least, if we went herd, as they say, and if you look at Brazil, they're having a very hard time. And by the way, they kept bringing up Sweden. It's come back to haunt Sweden. Sweden's having a terrible time. If we did that, we would have lost 1 million, 1.5 million, maybe even 2.5 million or more lives. So we're at 105,000 lives. Big move closing it up. We also closed it up to Europe. Europe became very infected from China. A gift from China, not good. They should have stopped it. They should have stopped it at the source. But it's a gift from China and a very bad gift. I will tell you that. And you do say, how come at Wuhan, where it started,
A couple of people
and they
bought
were
in there.
very badly, they were in bad trouble. But it didn't go to any other parts. It didn't go to Beijing.
After
It
watching
didn't go to
this
other
Trump
parts of
speech,
China.
I take back my
And
tweet
you say,
yesterday
how come it
criticizing
came
Leguard
out
for not
to
being
Europe,
concise enough.
to the world, to the United States.
Adam
So
Linton
it didn't
on
go
Twitter.
to China. They stopped it cold. They knew it was a problem. But they didn't stop it cold from coming to the United States, Europe, and the rest of the world. Somebody has to ask these questions, and we'll get down to the answer. You know, we made a great trade.
He just gone out there. He said he's gonna wing it,
$250
and
billion
he's
worth of
ADHD,
product.
man.
And by the way, they are online. They're doing okay. But the ink was
I don't know what he thinks he's accomplishing here, though.
when the plague floated in. What's going on? A plague is floating in from China. What's going on? So
He
the ink
really
was
wants to
surprised.
call it
I
a
think I
Chinese
made this
plague.
A little bit differently than I did 3 months ago. It's a great deal. I will say they are buying a lot from us, and in that way I respect. And getting along with China would be a good thing. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'll let you know. We'll let you know. I think they want to get along very much with us. But we built a tremendous thing, a tremendous power platform. So when it got ill,
He thinks he's at a
when
platform
we
in the
had a
morning.
problem, we
You
were
would
able
think.
to cut it off, stop it, just like this. Stop it. Keep everyone inside. Keep them away. Keep them together.
This is
away,
thing.
uninfected.
This is what he lives
And
for,
we
man.
saved millions of
He's
lives.
in his
And now we're
element. He
opening-
wants
we're
to
opening
talk.
with a
He's
bang.
just.
And we've been talking
It's
about
just
the V.
the
This
thing
is
is,
better than
I
a
don't
V.
really
This is
see a
rocket ship.
strategy here.
This is far better than a V. A V is
Talk up
wonderful.
the
A V is
economy.
just
Nobody
talking
gives a
about
shit
the
about
V,
that
U,
right
and
now.
L.
In politics,
No idea.
anybody
I was
that's
watching
thinking
one of
about
the
how
shows.
they're
I have
going to
great
vote
respect
in
for the
November,
people. And
just
they
don't
said,
think that
will it
those
be
people
9
are looking
million
at that
in
jobs number
job
today.
losses? Will it be? What will be the number be? Will it be? Are they going to report
Moved on from that. You're
record
behind the
numbers?
curve.
Will we break 20%? What will the number be? And I don't know.
This is far better than a
We
V. This
were
is a
in,
rocket
and I
ship.
don't think we're in that territory anymore. We were in uncharted territory. Nobody's ever had a situation like that. So the number was 9 million, and one of the people was getting, no, I think it's going to be 10 million. That's 10 million negative losses. And then somebody else said, no, we think it's going to be 8.7, 9.2. No, everyone was right around that number. This is great geniuses, and they are. I watch them all the time, and oftentimes they're right. Warren Buffett sold airlines a little while ago. He's been right his whole life, but sometimes even somebody like Warren Buffett, I have a lot of respect for him, they make mistakes. They should have kept the airline stocks, because the airline
Okay.
stocks are
So Donald Trump just saying Warren Buffett
And
made a
others did
mistake.
too.
You
The
think
whole
that Warren
market went
Buffett is
through.
going to respond to that one?
They
I think
said
he has to.
9 million.
That'll be
9
fun.
million
That'll be
job
fun.
losses. 9 million.
That's the most
It's
interesting thing
what's
so
gonna
far.
be. Are we going to break
Is calling out Warren
20%?
Buffett for
Are we
not
gonna break
investing.
it? And
Hey,
then
he
the
could call me
numbers
out
came
too. I
in,
didn't buy.
And one of the folks that was reading the numbers
I what
said,
got in, and I
"Wow,
well,
it's a
back
great
when it
number.
was
It's over
when we
3
got the
million job
paycheck, I was like,
losses."
well,
And then
we're already up a
I
little
said,
bit, and I don't like
think this is
the
not reading this
the
right. I look at it again.
multiples.
Oh, wait a minute. This is 3 million
How can I buy
gain,
here?
almost.
And now it just keeps going up and up and up, and
Jobs
like, what do you
gain.
do?
And then they shouted out, one of them sort of semi-shouted out, "Is this a typo?" I think it was probably the greatest miscalculation in the history of business shows. The history of business shows talking about Wall Street. And that's okay. But one of the reasons we're in this position is because we had such a strong foundation. So we were able to close our country, save millions of lives, open, and now the trajectory is great. Don't forget, New York is barely included, and that's one of our big ones. California is barely included because they're not open, and they should open. By the way, the mayor of Los Angeles wants to keep this thing closed for a long time. Look at what's going on in Florida.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Los Angeles, I'm telling you, California does not want
The
to.
numbers they're doing, you've got to open it up, and you do social distancing, and you wear masks if you
They
want.
might just keep things
do
closed
things.
indefinitely over there.
You're getting closer together. Even you, I notice you're starting to get much closer together. It looks much better.
Trump's speeches are bad. Can't you just take over?
But you'll be there soon.
Nah,
But it's a tremendous thing that happened, and the reason it happened is because we
yeah.
were
The
really
thing is
strong.
he doesn't have like
We had a patient that was so powerful, so
he's just
strong,
talking and he
that we
doesn't
could
have
close it
points
and
that he's
open it.
trying to
I
make.
give it this analogy. Somebody
He thinks that
told me yesterday, it was Larry
I can't get enough of it.
Said,
I mean, I
"Check
find
the
it
hurricane."
entertaining.
And we were worried. We didn't know. It's
But from
gonna
a
be
political
hurricane.
perspective, you
We're
want to go and you want to say,
in a
okay,
recession.
here are the
Major
things
recession,
that people
it's not
need to
artificial
be
cause.
thinking about because the media is not saying it to them.
Closed.
Okay,
And everything just
so 1,
stopped.
2, 3, 4, and and instead he just goes on this big long rant on meandering all over the place about all of the things that he
by
thinks
doing
that
it. And that's why I had to
he
do it.
doesn't
Made
think that
every decision
they're sharing.
correctly.
So
But it was like we stopped.
It's not
It was an
focused.
Artificial closing. And then what happened?
And honestly, what do we really want? We really want the media to ask him questions
With a hurricane,
about George Floyd.
you have a horrible hurricane in Florida or Texas, and it's devastating.
Come on.
And then the hurricane goes away, and within 2 hours, everyone's rebuilding and fixing and cleaning and cutting their grass. And I've seen it in Texas. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it everywhere. Texas had a massive one. Louisiana.
How much is traded down there in the
Hurricanes.
at the 80
Florida,
level in the E-mini
hurricanes.
now?
But what happens is right after the hurricane, boom, and this is what this is. This isn't a
35.
terrible recession. I don't even mention the D word. I don't talk about the D word. I don't want to talk about it. Because every time somebody even mentions it, I don't like the D word. But if you had a really, really big, bad recession, it could take 10, 12. How long did it take? In 1929, it took many years to recover from that. How long? Yeah, 10. I heard 10. I think longer than 10, but that's okay. I heard 14, 15 years. Larry says 10, so let's go with 10. But it takes a
Who
long
wins the
time
election?
to
Trump,
recover.
Biden?
But a
I
hurricane,
would
you're
still
back in
favor
business
Donald
in
Trump.
1
But
day, 2
it
days,
certainly
3 days.
appears
It's
closer than it
devastating,
was.
it's hard. And this was a hurricane. And it's going to get better fast because a lot of the numbers that you
One of the
see,
things that I think is
they're
going to be
early
telling
numbers.
is that
They're not even from this last month.
Joe
And by the
Biden
way,
basically
speaking of
got
that,
eliminated by the
we had the
primary
greatest
from their leading
50-day
black candidate
rally
over
in the
his
history
past support for racist
of
policies. And then somehow he won
changes.
again. And now he
Greatest
is the
50-day rally.
transformative guy that's going to
And
heal
we
the country.
have a lot of
No.
protesters.
Sorry. Doesn't
We
matter,
have
in my
something
opinion.
else, right? We have something else. We have a pandemic. We've made tremendous progress, really on both. If you look at where we've come on both, we've made tremendous progress on both.
Are you using
Tremendous
IB or
But you're
TB?
looking, and the people are now starting to return to work. So it's been an incredible
Oh.
thing to see.
No.
Beautiful
I
thing to
use
see.
AMP futures. So if you're going to trade
experts
futures, you should get
predicted
a
that the
futures-specific broker.
Economy would lose
These guys that
tremendous
allow you to
numbers of
trade
jobs.
futures like TD
Of
Ameritrade
course,
or
from the
Interactive
beginning it
Brokers,
has, but you're gonna see how fast
you
that's
just
gonna
don't get
go.
as good of a
I'm
commission.
telling you, next
So
year,
if you really want to be
unless
serious about market making
something
with
happens,
futures, you really should get,
more people
like
get in
AMP
here.
or
This
Edge
can
Clear,
turn around.
Ninja Trader
Your
Brokerage.
401ks will go down to numbers. If people didn't get
I get
little
why folks like
stocks in their
Ninja, but
401ks,
I
they
sure
were
miss
lucky
using
to
zero
think of it.
charts with AMP.
With a pandemic,
Yeah.
and with one of the worst
So you're
things
trading
that's
it
ever
with
happened,
Ninja
our
Trader
country's
Brokerage right
never
now,
lost
Ace?
105,000 people. Whether it's World Trade Center, which was 2,900, or Pearl Harbor, which was less than that. We've never lost anything close to this. But it's not only our country, it's the whole world. The world is suffering so badly. 186 countries at this moment.
GovTrader is really triggered
that
about
affects
this
us too.
PPP things. Did nobody
We're
tell
a
Trump that the
positive
government-funded
force. We're
PPP
the
jobs
key to the world,
do not
in a
represent
sense,
job
and,
creation? Paying
the fact
people
that
to sit
we're
at home
doing
and
well, I
not
see
work.
already they're starting to do much better in other parts of the world. That's a great thing, because we're working with the world, and we'll work with China too.
He says he's
We'll
doing
work with
dormant.
everybody. But what happened should have never happened. So we had a tremendous.
Yeah, but the thing is
morning,
with
a
Ninja
tremendous
Trader,
announcement. It was shocking
they
to
basically have
women,
it set up now
great
so that
pros.
if
I
you really
watched
want to
Marie
use Ninja
Bartiromo.
Trader,
I
you
watched
you
Jim
basically,
Cramer.
if you're a new
I
trader, you're
watched
gonna
a
go
lot
to
of
Ninja
people.
Trader brokerage.
Joe
Is
Cuny.
basically the way that
It's
they've
pretty positive.
they're
Charles
leveraging their
Manson,
dominance
positive for a long time.
in the software market
People got
to
it
push
right.
people
They had
into their
confidence in me,
brokerage.
they had confidence in this team, and they got it right. I think that's the only thing they could.
And anybody
consider.
that doesn't necessarily want to use Ninja Trader or Ninja Trader exclusively is kind of like
renewal, restoration, and recovery
left hanging.
of the most vulnerable areas of America is going to be my focus. It's going to be a big focus because it's taking care of itself, but we have to help that very vulnerable area. They're vulnerable. It's not right, and we're helping them, and we have helped them in the past. And we're also to opportunity zones, criminal
Yeah, I
justice
didn't even know they have their
reform.
own broker too. How long has
Nobody's
that been
ever
running?
done
Oh, it's been a
for
while.
the black community.
You say gold is
what
getting hit
President
again?
Trump has done. Think of it.
Oh, yeah, it's
Historically,
just trending
black
down.
small colleges and universities.
Why
that
own
would come
gold?
here for
You know,
like
there was this
every year,
guy,
every year for many, many years.
one of the
After 3 years, I
Facebook
said,
groups
"Why are
that
you
was
doing this? Why do
talking
you keep
about
coming
gold
here?"
going up, and he
They
was
said,
in
"Because
it,
we come." I
and
said, "Don't you give
he
me
was
a
posting
long-term
some
deal so you
patterns
don't
and
have to help?"
stuff, and yeah.
The head of one of the very respected colleges looked at me and said, "Sir, we're like beggars. Every year we have to come to Washington
I'm going
and
to,
beg
it's
for
going to
money."
be
I
interesting
said, "You should have a long-term
to see
deal."
all of the
We
technical
signed a
analysis
long-term
chart
deal,
people
so
come
you
out
don't have to
and
come.
try
I
to
miss them. I
explain
told you, I
how
miss them.
the market knew all along
The
that
first
the
year,
number
I
was going to
didn't
be a
think
huge
anything of
beat.
it. The second year, I said, "That's strange. Why are you here?" And then
None
the
of
third
them
year,
saw
not
it,
so long ago, some
but
people
they're all going to find out a way to show
historically
that the market knew.
black small colleges and universities, 44 people, maybe a little more than that, a little less than that.
With
some
AMP, I
firms.
felt like it was a hometown
But
bake with
after 3
Dorman. I
years,
feel
I
like it's
said,
an offshore account.
"What are you doing?" They said, "The past administration."
I really
did
think that
enough
I'm
for
going to
us."
go over to EdgeClear because I
The
want to
administration
trade. I
before
want
did
to
enough
show you
for us.
guys the small exchange.
So
I want to trade
So we
the
did.
dollar
The
index.
opportunity
Hey, the
zones
dollar
with
index,
Senator
that would
Tim
be
Scott has
fun.
been fantastic. And by the way, it's one of the great unknowns because the opportunity zones you don't talk about. It's one of the most incredible success stories ever in terms of the inner cities and in terms of black and Hispanic and Asian unemployment. Opportunity zones. You ought to do some stories about opportunity zones. Billions and billions of dollars of private money are being invested in putting people to work and getting money that they've never
There's been a
made
lot of
before.
volume
So
at
it's
that
been a really
30 area
terrific
now
case.
in the
Now
Treasury.
time for us to work together as we rebuild, renew, and recover the great promise of America. And that's true. We're
Oh,
gonna
he
work
actually
together.
does have
It'll
notes.
work
Did you
out.
see he looked
It'll
down?
work out. Some governors may
He
need
had-
a little help
he-
yet, but
he
I think
had
for the
notes.
most part they're in good shape. We have fantastic military. We have fantastic National Guard. National Guard was barely used. And these people have done an unbelievable job. They helped the Secret Service in Washington. Secret
Alex,
Service,
your
by the
chart
way,
for the
are
ease of use
unbelievable.
and
The job
spreadsheet
they
trading,
did
a
in the
great way to
White
test
House
an idea.
is unbelievable.
Well,
That
if you
was
want
liberating
something that
form
outputs
of
stuff
like,
into a
oh,
spreadsheet in
gee,
Ninja
this
Trader, we could
sounds
probably
dangerous.
write that for you.
All I could see is what I was seeing
But
on television.
if you're happy, that's
But
fine.
they were outside, and the Secret Service was incredible. But we
Yes,
were also
exactly.
helped
Today is a day where technical
by
traders
the
are proven to be
police. We were
charlatans.
helped
Exactly.
by
Yeah.
the National Guard
They
was
totally.
unbelievable. They came in and this was like a piece of cake. And I really am suggesting,
85.
because if you look at Minnesota and the great success we had there and other places.
I mean, that
I'm
97 is
suggesting to some of these
definitely
governors
possible.
that are too proud in New York. I mean, you see what's going on there. Don't be proud. Get the job done. You'll end up looking much better in the end. Call in the National Guard. Call me. We'll have so many people, more people than you have to dominate the streets. You can't let what's happening happen. It's called dominate the streets. You can't let that happen in New York where they're breaking into stores and all of the things. And by the way, hurting many small businesses. You can't let it happen. Equal justice under the law must mean that every American receives equal treatment in every encounter with law enforcement, regardless of race, color, gender, or creed. They have to receive fair treatment from law enforcement. They have to receive it. We all saw what happened last week. We can't let that happen. Hopefully George is looking down right now and saying there's a great thing that's happening for our country. There's a great day for him. It's a great day for everybody.
Wait, what?
This is a great day for everybody. This is a great, great day in terms of equality. It's really what our Constitution requires, and it's what our country is all about. I just want to finish
doing
by saying
what?
to save the economy,
Why is it a great
passed
day for
several
him?
pieces of critical legislation totaling many trillions of dollars, meaning 3. We're set up to do more if we want. I think
He
we should.
clearly,
because
he's
we,
clear. It's so obvious that his heart's just not in it.
dominant. For many years, as a bystander, but somebody that loved government, somebody that loved this country, I would watch and study and see, and just, when I say study, naturally study by watching. But if you go back, China was going to catch us in 2019. And that was like a given. You go back 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. It was always, China will catch America, catch the United States, and in 2019, and then it'll become the dominant economy. Never happened. It's not going to happen. We dominated them over the last year and a half, 2 years. We took in tens of billions of dollars in tariffs that they paid for. I gave some of that money, just a small fraction, to our farmers, which made them whole, more than whole. That's why they're all in business. Made them more than whole, and it came right out of the tariff money. And the
What was
reason
he
we
saying?
didn't
It's
pay
a
is
great
because
day for
China
church.
did
I
that.
didn't hear what he was talking about before that. That was
Plus, we
seemed
also
like
put additional
crazy,
money
didn't
to
it? Smash the bid.
Because if they didn't do that, nobody would have bought their product.
I had kind of lost interest, and then he's saying it's a great day for church. I think that he's saying that the economic benefits are good for people like George, but he's dead, dude.
China's taken tremendous advantage of the United States. We helped rebuild China. We gave them $500 billion a year. How stupid are the people that represented our country with China?
Is the
And
dollar
many
going to take
countries.
another dive here? That could be
That's
what
all
it takes to
changing.
get us to
And it was in the
32.
process of changing very big. Again, China had a very bad year before the plague. And now I think hopefully they're going to have a great year. I want them to have a great year, but we're going to have better years than they ever had. We have a better system, much better system. We made Americans sure of themselves, and we took care of families. We gave benefits, and we sent $1,200 to every individual making less than $75,000 and $4,000 almost dollars to every family of 4 earning less than $150,000. That's a lot, isn't it? When you think 150, but that's what's happening with our country. If you look at other countries, even countries that you think they're doing well, they don't talk about 150,000 as being median.
Is he just trying to fill time now?
$150,000. That's tremendous. That's a great
I'll be buying
tribute to the people of our country. The job surge that we're seeing right now is widespread. Leisure and hospitality added 1.2 million jobs. Construction jobs are up, listen to this, 464,000. Education and health services rose 424,000. Retail trade is up 368,000. And here's the one I like the best. Remember, previous administration, that you need a magic wand for manufacturing. Manufacturing, which we had up to 600,000 jobs prior to the plague, manufacturing rose to 225,000 jobs, up by. So we picked up 225,000 manufacturing jobs. That's very unexpected. Everything that you've seen this morning is unexpected. Even the pros sitting here would understand that. Everything. We also smashed expectations on the unemployment rate. The prediction was that the unemployment rate would rise to over 20%, and instead it dropped to around a little more than 13%, slight difference. And this time the greatest
Somebody was just asking me,
comeback
you think
in
it's going to turn
American
down? And I
history is
said,
probably
I don't
the
see anything of this
greatest
tell
comeback
me
in
that the
American
fundamental
history. But
flows in the
it's not
market are
gonna
going to
stop here.
change.
It's going to keep going because so many places are closed. I was watching our great vice president today being interviewed on CNBC. He did a phenomenal job, and he made a statement. He said, this is not going to stop, and 100%. He's always attributing everything to me, but I'll attribute this statement to him. He said, it's not going to stop. Because the numbers that you're looking at don't include all of those states that are closed. They haven't even opened yet. We're going to be stronger than we were when we were riding high. And our stock market is it's just short of an all-time high. I've had 100
It's just short of an all-time high, man.
High stock markets.
Stop jinxing it.
Period. Nobody's ever come close to that, and we're going to do it again. But it's going to be even stronger than last time. When I would say that to you 2-3 months ago, I could see what's happened. I have a good feel. I've always done well with numbers, but I had a feel for it. I said it even the other day. I was saying I think we're going to have a tremendous next year. I think it's going to be a phenomenal next year. I didn't know it would start this quickly. I thought it would start in August, September, but it started very early. Amazing. It's an amazing thing, but it means that they're likely to return, and all of these jobs that we're talking about now aren't even included because some of our biggest places aren't opened. They're opening up now. I think New York's opening up like as of today, and that's one of our big ones. New Jersey. They're all working hard. The governors are all working hard. To save millions of American lives, we took that unnecessary evil, we took it out of the equation. We had to do what we did. We had a very, very strong push not to do anything. We would have lost so many people. But very importantly, the economy wouldn't have been as good as it is.
How do you get the number up if places are closed? Am I
I don't think
special?
there's anybody sitting here that can say, I want to see it on tape, as opposed to just say, oh, I did that. But some were predicting pretty good numbers, people I mentioned. But we took a tremendous step and a tremendous risk. And we've gone up at a level, and this level is going to be nothing compared to what you see in coming months, and especially next year. So the best strategy to ensure the health of our people moving forward is to focus our resources on protecting high-risk populations like the elderly and those in nursing homes, while allowing younger and healthy Americans to get back to work immediately and open up our schools, open them up. We understand this disease now. We didn't understand it. Nobody's ever seen it before. It's very tough, very contagious, very mean to certain people. We've learned a lot. We didn't know. Nobody knew anything about it. But we learned a lot. And I have to thank everybody for working so hard. Jared.
Fauci, let's reopen
Mike,
schools in the fall carefully.
And all of the people, the admiral, the general, they were saying, oh, you should use admirals. I said, I did. You should use generals. I said, I did. Used them both. We had some incredible people on the task force. The job they did in getting ventilators built by the thousands, we're giving to Nigeria, to France, to Spain, to Italy, to many.
Well, there's lots of people are saying that they
UK,
don't believe
having a hard
this.
time. We're giving them ventilators. It's a great thing. I mean, they're very hard to make. They're long-term items. We mobilized. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Just like the Second World War. There hasn't been a mobilization like this since the Second World War, especially ventilators, because it's hard. It's big, it's complex, very complex machinery, computerized all over the place, and very expensive. And we're building thousands a week. Right now, we're building thousands a week. We have all we can use. No governor, you hear the calls, you listen in on those calls. Frankly, you're invited to if you want, but you do anyway, even if you're not invited. And you see what's going on. Every governor, there's not been one patient in this entire massive country, and we didn't have ventilators when we started. The cupboards were empty. The previous administration left us empty cupboards. There isn't one patient, not one, that needed a ventilator that didn't get one. Think of that. And we're talking about millions of people, big country, millions of people. Not one person needed a ventilator that didn't get it. So we want the continued blanket lockdown to end for these states. We may have some embers or some ashes, or we may have some flames coming, but we'll put them out. We'll stomp them out. We understand this now. We'll stomp them out, and we'll stomp them out very, very powerfully. So we've made a big step in our comeback. This was always going to be, 3 months ago I said to you, this is a very important period, this June period, because we're going to learn whether or not this is a very big, powerful R word, recession, or whether this is a hurricane that we recover from very quickly. We recover from in a matter of weeks or days. And we've learned. Again, as good as these numbers are, the best numbers are yet to come because so many areas are still closed or very partially closed. Very few actually are fully open. These numbers are with states, 50 states, and very few are fully opened. Even the ones that are very out there are not fully opened. So we're going to have some tremendous numbers coming in. When you look at the ridership in the airlines, what they've got, they went from 2% to a number that, if it's correct, I'd be surprised, actually. But it's a very high number. It's great. People are traveling. And you know what? They're traveling in the United States. And they're also driving. And they're building the trailers. They're building a lot of things. They're driving. People are driving. I may have to buy one of those things, drive around town. Maybe I'll drive back to New York with our First Lady in a trailer. What do they call that? An RV. An RV. Well, you should know Indiana's the capital of RVs. I think I'm going to buy an RV and travel from now on in an RV with our First Lady. I don't think anybody would mind that. So we've come together. We're coming together. We've never had a thing happen like this. We were all, including the media, we were all in uncharted territory. We were uncharted. Never happened before. Nobody knew. I couldn't be sure. I felt it. I felt we were very powerful to come back. Hardest decision I ever made was when they all walked in, a big group of people, professionals, very professional people, good people. They said, "Sir, the best thing we can do is close it down." I said, "What are you talking about? We have this incredible, unbelievable country that's never done better, and you want us to close it down? I can't do that. What are you talking about?" And after listening for 10 minutes, didn't take long, I said, "I think we have to close it down." Because of the contagion and because of the power it had with especially certain people. Now, we didn't know the second part. We knew it was highly contagious because it spread like fire. But we didn't know that it hit certain groups of people. That helps us so much in testing and other things. So we're going to protect our elderly. We're going to protect especially our elderly with problems, whether it's heart.
97 was the number that John was looking for.
I mean, you're elderly and you have diabetes or you have a bad heart, it's like a magnet. They say if you're heavy, so I say, thank goodness I'm in perfect shape. Thank goodness. But if you're heavy, it's not good. It's a brutal thing. And again, I started by saying we're going to have a vaccine soon.
Got a
I said a long time ago,
90%.
based on knowledge.
Got
based on knowledge. I'm
3192.
with these geniuses.
3197.
I said a long time ago. I said by the end of the year. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that. And you know, just in finishing about vaccines, we have mobilized the logistics arm of our military. We can move hundreds of thousands of men and women in a very short time. The vaccine is easy by comparison, but we can move hundreds of thousands. It's meant for war. It's not meant for this, but we have our war with the invisible enemy. It's meant for war, but we can move hundreds of thousands. Think of that. Hundreds of thousands in a very short time. The same people are doing
Oh,
the
you guys
vaccine,
were saying
and
some
they're
more
fully
stuff.
mobilized.
Sorry.
So now I'm going to sign legislation to make important changes to the PPP that will especially help restaurants, hotels, and other businesses that have been very hard hit by the virus. This is going to make it 24 months, and I think you know the legislation as well.
Drum
as I
is
do.
getting worse,
I
dude.
wanna
How
thank the
does people
Democrats.
not
We
remember
had
4 months ago he was
essentially
saying just the
unanimous
flu?
votes, I think, in the Senate and the House, right?
Often suggested
Whether
with
it's
some
unanimous
disagreement
or
that as
very
long as the U.S.
close,
dollar is the
people-
reserve currency,
But I
that
wanna
we can
thank
run
the
massive
Democrats who
deficits
worked
forever.
together
It's
on it,
complicated,
and
but
I hope we
everyone
get along with
else
the Democrats.
eats
It's been
our
a
inflation.
disaster in terms of relationship, but I hope we can get
Wow,
along because it's a
I
good thing for our country.
don't think that there's anything fundamental to stop us from growing our deficit, but I am concerned that the monetary stimulus that we're putting in here is actually deflationary rather than inflationary, and that we could have a situation where stocks, after this initial period of strong growth, end up being flat for a very, very long time. And in the long run, that could be a large problem because people aren't going to have enough money to retire. You know what I mean? But that's something that we're talking about like 10 years from now. Doesn't matter to what we're trading today.
We want closed borders. We want people to come in, but they have to come in through merit. They want open borders. You can't have open borders, especially now.
Talking
when
about
you have a
immigration
pandemic. We set a
now?
record, by the way, on our southern
He's just
border.
been blabbing for
The wall,
45
which you never
minutes,
hear
dude.
about, is up to 210 miles long. And one of the reasons we're setting a record is we have so much.
As good as jobs numbers are, the best numbers are still coming.
Miles very early next year. By the end of this year, we'll be over 400 miles. We're up to 210 miles of serious wall. This is a wall that people aren't penetrating. This is a very, very powerful
Police
wall.
officers in Buffalo suspended without pay after shoving 75-year-old protester to the ground. They should not have shoved him.
You don't hear about that. One of the hardest things
He should not have been walking up to the police and touching
the
them
money
like that.
necessary, which is billions of dollars, from a party that was totally opposed to it. They gave me other things. The military we could rebuild wasn't easy in terms of that. That's not their natural instinct. But for the wall, no, you can't have it, can't have it, can't have it. We had 9 court cases on the wall, but we won and we got it. And now nobody.
Not
talks
seeing the
about it.
currencies
Nobody
move a
even
whole
talks
lot
about it.
right at the
But it's
moment.
great for our country.
There was a pretty
We have
big
to have
move
borders.
down
I've
in
said
the
often,
euro
I said long before I won,
and the
I
6J
won
and
on that
gold.
great November day.
But now, since
Seems like a
then,
long time ago,
like the dollar
2016,
index
I
as
said,
a whole,
If you don't
is
have
relatively
borders, you don't have a
unchanged
future.
after all of that.
So we have a lot of things to work with the Democrats. If we could work along with them, it would be great. If we don't, we're going to do great as a country anyway. We're going to do great anyway. But if we could work along with the Democrats, and I'm open to it. People say I wouldn't be open. Why would I be open? They did things that they should have never done. And you know what I'm talking about. Should have never done. But I'm totally open to it. But we could go even steps further. But it's already been historic. Nobody has done more in 3.5 years than this administration has done. Nobody has come close to doing the things we've done. We've rebuilt our military. We've cut regulations.
I just
at a
wish
level
Libertarian Party or
nobody's even
Green would
come
get more than
close
1%
to.
of the group.
And
Well,
that's whether
it's never
4
gonna
years,
it's never
8
gonna
years,
change.
Or in one case, even more.
Listen,
than
the United States is a two-party
that.
system
Nobody's
for a
done
reason.
Anything close.
It works for them.
Regulations, low taxes, rebuilt military, take care of our vets. We got choice approved for the vets. So instead of waiting in line for 4
PTSD
weeks
from
to see a
dogs
doctor,
arrested me
they
online.
can go immediately outside.
I
to a
haven't seen
private
those.
doctor. We pay for the bill, and the vet is in great shape. But we actually save money. but
Power
more
over
importantly,
wall
we
is the
save
stuff Trump
their
says
lives, and we
actually true.
save the quality of their life. They were dying. They would come onto a line. They'd have to wait 4 or 5 weeks. They wouldn't be very sick. By the time they see the doctor, they'd be terminally ill. We don't have that anymore. You don't hear any bad stories about the vets anymore. That doesn't mean go out and find them, because tonight you'll be traveling all over the world looking for an unhappy vet. And we got accountability because we had a lot of bad people in the VA. It's called VA accountability, where we can now fire people that don't treat our vets good. We have sadists, we have thieves, we have a lot of bad people. And we can now, it's called VA accountability. Almost 50 years they've been trying to get it. Choice, almost 50 years they've been trying to get it. For many, many years. I've been hearing about it for years. They've been trying to get VA choice. Choice means you can have a choice of a doctor. You don't have to wait in line if you have a long line. I have to say the VA has great doctors. You can't get to them very quickly. Now they go outside and they take care of themselves. So we've had a great morning. This is just the beginning. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to sign our very important piece of legislation. Again, thank you very much to the Democrats. And then we're going to have a couple of words by a few of the people standing alongside of me. I want to thank them so much. And we'll talk to you soon.
He is going to, what is he doing?
I'd like to sign this bill. This is a very different.
This is the PPP bill.
What's happened to our country and what you now see, it's been happening, is the greatest thing that can happen for race relations, for the African American community, for the Asian American, for the Hispanic American community, for women, for everything.
What's your plan?
Because our country is so strong, and that's what my plan is. We're going to have
Do you hear what he's saying?
economy in the world. We almost are there now. We had the strongest economy anywhere in the world. And now we're going to have an economy that's even stronger.
And he's not on the podium. He's like, I'm not going to answer questions. And then he answers one with the thought. What the heck? So you're going to sign. He signed it. Go back and answer the question.
American unemployment went up by 0.5%.
You,
How is that a
you,
victory?
he's like,
You are something.
you are something.
Thank you very much.
So
I have to say, though, it's been an
it's not good enough.
great achievement. Feel so
I feel like it's not enough,
just
but
the beginning. The best is yet to come. Mike, would you say a few words?
Mike, would you say was
Thank you, Mr.
Mike
President.
planning on saying anything?
Today's a great day for America. The American
What,
comeback
what
begins
is
today.
what is going on here?
Mr. President, it is a tribute.
He's just winging it,
You
man.
made early on to put the health of America first. From suspending all travel from China to calling on the American people to embrace the kind of mitigation practices to practice social distancing, to endure 45 days to slow the spread. The way you worked in a bipartisan way, we want to thank members of both parties in the Congress for working with us to provide relief for families, small businesses, and enterprises across the country. Today's numbers, historic as they are a testament to the leadership that you've provided, Mr. President, on mitigation, on recovery, and as you directed the White House Coronavirus Task Force, they're also a tribute to the fact that states across the country, now all 50 states, are reopening our country. Even before we came to the end of the 45 days, you directed us to give guidance to state governors and all the states and territories to safely and responsibly reopen. And now all of our states are in the process of doing that. It's remarkable to think that 2.5 million jobs and declining unemployment number actually dates to surveys done in mid-May. Mr. President, it's remarkable that we can see all across
that
the
whole
country
thing.
that
That
this is a
whole
snapshot
sequence of
today
events
that
was
taking
like,
place about
what
a week
is
ago.
going on here,
Because
man?
because
just
of the guidance
can't.
you gave to the American people in mitigation, and because of the recovery efforts that
I
bipartisan
mean, he's
members of Congress
right.
supported at your direction.
I think he's right. I
And
think that what's
ultimately,
happening
because
right
of
now
the
could be
reopening
really
of the
good
country,
for
we've done a great American
rights
comeback. I
and
wanna thank you, Mr.
I don't
President.
think
I wanna
that there's
thank members of
anything.
Congress.
I'm obviously I'm against
Join
riots,
you in
but
thanking all
everybody
of the
thinks
incredible
that
healthcare
there
workers
should be
across the
equal
country,
rights and everything like that,
including our
and
team on the task
and
force
people
and health
protest like
officials
that's great.
at every level,
But
governors that have been our partners.
the problem
But
is
ultimately, today is a tribute.
he's probably
to the
thinking,
American
oh yeah, so all these police departments they
President,
need
I know
to
that
make
you
changes.
said
These
again and
cities
again
need to
this
make
morning,
changes. He's not thinking
it was
federal.
because the patient
He
was
doesn't think
strong
that the
from beginning.
federal government really has
Because
to
the
do
policies
anything.
that you put into
So he
place, cut
doesn't.
taxes,
They
roll
want
back
to hear him
regulations,
say
unleash
say
American
something
energy, fight for free and fair trade,
that
create
moves the
more than
ball.
7
They want.
billion jobs.
They're like, you have the ball,
Today, the
and
strength
he's
and
like
resilience of
hey,
the
this is
American
great, and then he's
people
passing it.
is shining through. And this is their day.
It's weird.
Congratulations,
It's incredibly
America.
weird.
Comeback begins.
And then Mike Pence doesn't say anything about that. Now he's
And
going to
I think
talk
very
again.
importantly, because it's a great state, and you have so many great states involved with energy, but we had basically a disaster just a month ago.
He's just
We had a
winging this
disaster
whole
with respect
thing.
to
It's
energy.
been
It was
almost
down to zero.
man.
It was worthless. And that's 5 million jobs, maybe much more than that indirectly, probably close to 10 million jobs, energy jobs in Texas and North Dakota and Oklahoma and many other states. New Mexico, great state, great energy state it's become. And we saved that industry in a short period of time. And you know who helped us? Saudi Arabia and Russia. And then we got Mexico to do what they really had to do. And I want to thank the president of Mexico. He was terrific. In the end, he was terrific. But we saved the energy industry. That would have been catastrophic to lose it. And now it's up to almost $40 a barrel. And people would have said that's impossible. But we got Saudi Arabia, Russia, and others to cut back very substantially. OPEC plus. We call it OPEC plus. But they were the leaders. And we appreciate that very much. Could I ask Kevin and Larry to say a few words, please?
Thank you, sir. I'll be brief as I can. I know it's pretty darn hot.
I haven't noticed. Is it hot? Nobody hot.
You're pretty good at it. So, preceding this number were a number of green shoots, as we call them in economics or finance. And as the president has mentioned, things like Apple mobility, traveling indexes, the housing applications for new homes are skyrocketing. New businesses and new business applications are skyrocketing. So we've seen a lot of pieces of evidence. The key to today's number, 2.5 million payrolls and 3.8 million households from which the unemployment comes. The key is that those who were temporarily laid off have gone back to work, 3 million some odd. And that's because of the reopening And that's because of the success of the President and Vice President's mitigation policies, which had to be taken. Now the reopening begins. Here's a footnote. At May 12th, for the week the survey was taken, a little less than 50% of small businesses had reopened. According to the Chamber of Commerce, the most recent number in late May, early June, 80%, 79% of small business have reopened. So we're going to see more continued progress in the June jobs numbers when they come out. And I want to add also, my friend and colleague, Secretary Stephen Mnuchin's leadership on the payroll protection program has kept people on temporary call, have kept them furloughed, but they knew they were going to come back. The PPP has distributed $510 billion and has probably saved as much as 50 million jobs. And overall,
Probably
we've
saved
extended,
50 million
tax
jobs from the
rebates and other
PPP.
payments, 159 million Americans for nearly $275 billion. The rescue package works. It was the largest in American history. Now, we are seeing weekly unemployment claims coming down, continued claims coming down. The 13.3% unemployment rate has come down. And I think, as the President has noted, these trends will continue. This was a sharp, tough, heartbreaking pandemic contraction. It's not a typical economic contraction. It was like a bad hurricane or a bad snowstorm. There's a lot of heartache in that, and there's a lot of hardship in that, absolutely. But they're sharp and fast, and they recover fast. And we are beginning to see this rapid recovery, which I believe will extend well into the third quarter and the fourth quarter. We're still looking for some 20% economic growth in Qs 3 and 4, and a big number in 2021 as we move forward with presidential policies of lower
There you
taxes
go.
and regulations and energy and fair.
Larry's able to do it.
That created a phenomenal economy before the pandemic and can recreate and rebuild that phenomenal economy afterwards. And I bring in my great pal, Kevin Hassett. Good job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. And today is a historic day.
They're having a
but
chat
as
about
you
this
remind us,
in
there's a lot of work left
Discord,
to do.
and somebody was pointing out that
And,
Floyd was a
there were
criminal, and
18
I'm like,
million
why
people
would you
that
bring
said
that
they
up at
expected
that
to be
particular
reemployed.
point?
3
Like,
million of them came back, and it's
I'm not
shocking
saying it's not
that
relevant. It is definitely
There's still a lot of work
relevant
do,
to
and
police
that's what you were
brutality
saying, Mr.
issue,
Davis, to
but
give you
like,
options so that we can get
come
everybody
on.
else in the country back to work. And I think that the main economic lesson I take from what we've seen, in addition to Secretary Mnuchin's incredible work getting the programs enacted quickly, is that the Vice President's leadership with the task force, right at the very beginning, you put out guidance for businesses and for governors about how to open safely. And because the guidance was so scientifically based, people did so with confidence. And you would never have a jobs number like what we saw today without the confidence that I think was generated by your leadership, Mr. Vice President, and Dr. Birx and the rest of her team. So thank you so much for your service, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to add, we'll be going for a payroll tax cut. We think that'll be incredible in terms of what we're doing because, again, we're going to be bigger, stronger, better than we ever were. That's going to be a tremendous incentive for businesses and also a great incentive, and maybe, to me, most importantly, for the workers. So we're going to be asking for a payroll tax cut. We'll be asking for additional stimulus money because once
Payroll
we get
tax
this
cut,
going,
they like
far
that.
better,
There's
far
97.
than we've ever seen in this country. That includes as of 3 or 4 months ago when everyone thought it was great, and it was great. And we're going to be doing things for restaurants and
Could have been a
various,
$350 trade if you
pieces
just
of the
bought.
entertainment industry, which will be an incentive, whether it's deductions or whatever. But
Can
Steve Mnuchin's gonna be
you
working
short
on that
GSX
because the
with
restaurants will
future?
be a little bit harder to come back.
What is
Although I must
GFX?
tell you, Mike, I've seen some tremendous numbers from restaurants. But we're looking at doing something in terms of an incentive with taxes. It could be deductions. It could be something else. But we'll be announcing it pretty soon. But we will be asking, despite the numbers and how good they are.
I mean, that's a
because we
company
will be so far
where you
ahead of
can only
everybody
trade
else
CME
to do what we're
futures.
doing. Our borrowing cost now is 0. So we're paying no interest, which is
He's just,
very
he's,
good.
there's no, this is so
Just want to thank
bizarre.
everybody. I'd like to ask Steve Mnuchin
Even
to say
for
a few
him.
words, please.
Even for him.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. And again, I want to especially thank the Senate and the House for working with us in another example of overwhelming bipartisan support that is helping American business and American workers. Mr. President, this legislation is a direct result of You invited in leaders from the restaurant industry and the hotel industry. These are two areas that have been especially hard hit. The restaurants' number one ask was extending the PPP for 24 weeks, and this legislation delivers on this. So it is great to see the $500 billion that we've put to work in small business make its way into the economy, and now you see it in these numbers in them bringing more people back to work. So not only did this save jobs, but we now see people coming back to work, and we look forward to working with Congress on bipartisan issues to make sure we get every American back at work that was unfortunately laid off as a result of this virus. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. That was probably the most bizarre Donald Trump press conference I've seen. He definitely meanders, and he is ADHD to the max, and I'm betting that he's probably not getting a whole lot of sleep. 3,200. Boom, boom, 90 points. Seth, you were right. S&P trend day. He signed the bill to make some changes to the PPP law so that they could continue to use the funds. Well, how far do you think they can go past 32? It's parabolic. Well, given that 97 was so close to 3,200, I think that's totally appropriate. Man. Might even be a little bit of room for a tad bit more, actually. $32.21. Yeah. Treasuries came down again. Gamma Trader pointing out that on the non-farms, that it just keeps going. December, the beginning of December. Don't remember that one, to be honest. Nice moving averages. You notice that they've barely even touched the 10-minute moving average. So if I was still trading at the moment, what would I be doing? I think that I would wait for them to come below that 10-minute moving average and then buy it again. But the further this goes, the more and more difficult, less opportunities you're going to get. So, it gets tough like that. Mm-mm-mm-mm. They're going short. Why would you go? Why four? Why four? Another thing is that when you touch a big number like 3,200, usually you don't want to mess with it. They usually continue through those. That was the December day Gamma Trader's showing us. Want to look over on this thing. Well, 6. Okay. Am I not allowed to see before 2020? Hmm. Most of the time, there's no big move on the NFP. $32.10. Like, geez, guys. You really want to be the guy that says that you sold it today? Like, honestly. Oh, guys. This is smacking the protesters in the face. Do you think so? I don't think so. How does one get the degenerate gambler status? You know what? Those guys are just guys that have been around for a long time and they've shown me statements, but they didn't show me anything to say that they're like profitable or anything like that. Just that they've been trading for a long time and that they've made meaningful contributions to the community. You got to remember that the only thing it does is give you a different colored name and allows you to give people the regular permission. That's basically it. I think the elite guys can delete messages because want to be able to remove spam, but I am basically solely responsible for the real moderation on the server. And I'm sure that at some point I'll make mistakes and stuff, but if you got banned, it was because of me. That or you were spamming. There are actually is one or two other people that do not show up on the list that can ban people. But we keep that one on, we don't say who it is. They're the secret police. Don't spam, or the secret police will get you. Okay, 3210 was a pretty good run there, man. Look at 1,000 traded at 3208. Totally, they are hitting the pavement. I mean, I don't understand why it matters. They're totally separate things. I woke up my wife and told her to load up on longs and calls. I mean, do you think I should buy stuff here? The thing that still bothers me is that the companies that I would like to get involved in don't look like good deals right now. I'm totally okay with buying it higher as long as it's a good deal. Like that's the way that I gotta take it. It's got to be telling me that the price that I'm getting is better than what I should be able to get. And right now it's saying the exact opposite. Right now it's saying, hey, if you really wanted to sell, and this is like the most amazing sell opportunity ever. But then at the same time, everything that you see about the flows, the thing that actually matters to us as day traders says that this is just going to keep going. Because honestly, non-traders, people that don't look at charts and have stupid technical analysis indicators that are going to tell them to go short here. Okay. What is happening today that's going to make that person say, oh, hey, you know what? I did a pretty good job with buying down at the lows there as soon as I got my stimulus money, and I should sell it now. Do you think that anybody's really thinking that right now? Probably not. Can that be indicative of a market top? Yeah, it can. But the flow is not, until the flow changes, you're not going to have a market top. Something has to change that makes it so that the money that's coming in isn't going to come in anymore. Hey, so like something that could do it is, oh, this is better than we expected. We're concerned about things going too far. We need to raise interest rates. That could do it. Right? That could do it. Oh, we don't need a stimulus anymore. We won't have a third stimulus bill. I don't know if that would change it, but it might temper their enthusiasm a little bit. Maybe. Hey, we're getting a 10 tick pullback now. Sorry, a 10 handle pullback. Did we have a second one? Yeah, we did. There's actually been 3 bills. 3 or 4, in fact. I guess this one is like the 4th or 5th. I don't remember which. But you want another stimulus where you get a paycheck, don't you? Yes, I know what you're thinking there, Ace. I would like one too. I would also like the market to go down to a reasonable level at which the earnings per share ratios say that it's an okay deal that you're getting. That would be really, really great. But you know what? We missed that one. It's fine. I'm not too bent up about it. It's all fun. It's all play money to me. The government give it to us. We gotta be responsible with it. We're gonna be responsible with it. And I've been saving up. The stream has been doing really good, guys. I'm so constantly humbled, but we did really well in May, and I've just been saving it all up, and I think I'm going to use all of that to start to move over to Edge Clear. And what else? I don't know. I've been trading good too. That's a funny thing. I mean, like we used to be like getting 50 viewers a day. Now we're getting 30 viewers a day, but I'm trading like so much better. It's kind of funny. I was like maybe somebody was trading against me and they stopped doing it. I don't know. We could go back. Look, today was great. We got 9 ticks today. And then really all week has been good. Let's go back to, let's just do this week. Almost $500 week. Mostly E-mini trades, though, of course. So, yeah, how many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So something like a 65% win rate this week. It's good. It's good. It's been a little bit too easy. In fact, I'm getting a little suspicious. Because it's been too easy this week. The week before that was okay too, right? Let's look, this number will go up here when it's done refreshing. First real pullback. I think, what we had there was the first real pullback. I would not be surprised if we settle the day down around the 3180, because there was so much volume that traded through there. It might be range bound to that area for a long time. Yeah, there it went up again. In fact, I think, let's just close that. Let's just come over to the real stats. We can go back and see when was it that I was like not doing well. Members. Okay. So I'm going to take it all the way back to February. Ooh, I did really good this one day. And then I did bad this one day. Those ones were probably not. I don't know what that was. That was me dinking around for some reason. I was doing something dumb. So it was really more around my last bad day was at the beginning of May. 5/8. And that day I think I loaded up and that was bad. But let's just look at from here to here. Yeah. That's not bad. So here's this week. It's been great, right? Before that, we were kind of a little shaky. So here was this period where we were kind of doing this time frame continuity stuff, I think. And then this is about just the past 2 weeks when I said, nah, let's just trade it based off of fundamentals. But when we go into it, the stats, right? Like the win rate is pretty good. Well, okay, so there's that. But then when we only do, do we include the 18th? There's the 18th. I think so. I think we do. Oh, maybe not. 22nd. Was also, no, I think it's just been from here to here. I think I was doing it on the 18th, but I was still doing some other things. So here's me just kind of trading it off of news. And of course, I'm taking some trades in the micros and some trades in the treasuries. So overall, it ends up being kind of sketch. But some of these, so 50% losing trade, 40% winning trade. That's actually not too bad. But then it was like when we come over and we switch to this, because we've taken some treasury trades that were really bad. So let's come back to April and just look at just the treasury trades now. Okay, so here was this 5-6 day when I was like tilting. That was the day when I was like, so I was like doing really well, and then I had one day where it was like really bad. And I was like, no, this method doesn't work. I was just getting lucky and sizing up, and it doesn't work. So then that's when I kind of started to change things. So really from 5-8, yep, exactly. So this is the period where I've really just been doing like primarily fundamentals, okay? And 1,000 is pretty good, but the thing that I want to see or show is what the win rate, 42%, 47.5. And like the number of trades that I've actually taken it done. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could see over time, because this week it's been super crazy good, right? Some of these were like, I let those ride. Like I was sizing up on some of them and letting them ride. Do way better on Wednesdays. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. That's really good. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday doing well. Monday just kind of being like careful. Well, I've taken too many trades on Mondays. And what about MFE, ME? Well, it does go my way more often than not, but it's not super hot. Profit factor overall isn't super hot, but it's only on longs, which is kind of funny. Of course, it's just like you just go long. I think that's like in the end, that's all there is to it. Except for on the one day where it was a short, I got it short. Like that's a funny thing, is that I haven't just been going long. I actually have been catching them almost every day. But I guess there's enough information there in the stats to tell us that we still need a little bit of practice with it. That maybe there's still some optimizations that we need to make there. Okay, so they came back and now they're kind of chilling at 3,200. Oh my, I've got to get going. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I lost track of what I was doing. I'll see you guys on Monday.